From New York, where the American stage begins, NBC presents Best Plays, transcribed with John Chapman. A series of hour-length dramas based on famous theatrical books begun by the late Burns Mantle, now edited by the distinguished drama critic of the New York Daily News, John Chapman.
Mr. Chapman. Good evening. Almost 600 years ago, a man named Geoffrey Chaucer coined a phrase. He couldn't spell very well, apparently, so what he wrote must have sounded to him something like this. Mordre wall out, certain, it wall not file. We've been practicing up on spelling and pronunciation during the last few centuries and have figured out that what Chaucer meant was, murder will out, certainly. It can't miss. And so it can't. It rarely misses in the theater. The season of 1940-41 was an excellent one for murder and for comedy and the best plays of the Broadway theater. Owen Davis had adapted a novel by Francis and Richard Lockridge, Mr. and Mrs. North, about an attractive young couple blundering their way into the detective business, and this play was a hit. Joseph Kesselring wrote another one about murder by the dozen, which he originally titled Bodies in Our Cellar. This turned out to be Arsenic and Old Lace, which had 1,444 performances. Only 6 other plays in the history of the Broadway stage have run longer. In the company on the first night of January 10, 1941, were Boris Karloff, Jean Adair, and other fine comedians. Now, in this Best Plays performance, we have Mr. Karloff and Donald Cook as two strangely different brothers. Mr. Cook currently is starring in the Broadway hit The Moon is Blue. Our company also includes Jean Adair and Edgar Staley from the original production, and Evelyn Varden as the nice little lady who likes to give all her guests elderberry wine. The performance is beginning. On a quiet street under the arching elms in the town of Brooklyn, New York, the old Brewster home stands in dignified and over-decorated glory. The gas mantles are still in the hall, although electricity was installed several years ago. It's tea time, and Miss Abby Brewster pours. The minister is visiting, and Miss Abby and her nephew Teddy are most attentive.
Won't you have another biscuit, Dr. Harper?
Oh, no, Miss Abby. I always eat too many of your biscuits just to taste the lovely jam.
But you haven't tried the quince. We always put a little apple in with it to take the tartness out. We'll send you over a jar. Teddy, more tea.
What? Bully. Miss Abby, I've been meaning to speak to you about your nephew, Mortimer, I mean.
Oh, yes, I understand he's taking Elaine to the theater again tonight. Teddy, your brother Mortimer will be here a little later.
Delighted.
We're so happy it's Elaine that Mortimer takes to the theater with him.
Miss Abby, I'll be frank with you. I do not entirely approve your nephew's unfortunate connection with the theater. A drama critic is constantly exposed to the theater, and I fear some of them do develop an interest in it.
Well, not Mortimer. You need have no fear of that. Why, Mortimer hates the theater.
Really?
Oh, yes, he writes awful things about the theater, but you can't blame him, poor boy. He was so happy writing about real estate, which he really knew something about. And then they just made him take this terrible night position.
My.
But, as he says, the theater can't last much longer anyway, and in the meantime, it's a living. Oh, now, who do you suppose that is? I'm coming.
Oh, hello, Miss Brewster.
How are you, Officer Brophy? Come in.
Thank you. Oh, afternoon, sir.
Sir, what news have you brought me?
Colonel, I have nothing to report.
Splendid. Thank you, sir. At ease.
We've come for the Christmas toys, Miss Brewster.
That's a splendid job you men do fixing toys for the children.
Yeah, well, it gives us something to do when we sit around the station. You get tired playing cards. Then you start cleaning your gun, and the first thing you know, you've shot yourself in the foot.
Teddy, dear, go upstairs and get that big box from your Aunt Martha's room.
Delighted.
That's right, dear. Up the stairs. How is Mrs. Brophy today?
Pneumonia.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Oh, she's much better now. A little weak still.
Well, I'm going to tell Sister Martha, and she'll bring you over some beef broth for her. And I'll be right back.
Oh, don't bother, Miss Abby. You've done so much for her already. Hey, Colonel, you promised not to do that.
But I have to call a cabinet meeting to get the release of those supplies.
He used to do that in the middle of the night. The neighbors complain about him.
Oh, he's quite harmless.
Oh, sure. I suppose he does think he's Teddy Roosevelt. It's a shame a nice family like this hatching a cuckoo. The grandfather made $1 million. Patent medicine.
Well, Officer Brophy and Dr. Harper. How nice.
Hello, Miss Martha. I come to get the Christmas toys.
Oh, yes. Teddy's Army and Navy. They wear out.
Oh, you're back, Martha. How is poor Mr. Benitsky?
Well, dear, it's pretty serious, I'm afraid. The doctor was there. He's going to amputate in the morning.
Can we be present?
No, dear, I asked him. But he said it's against the rules of the hospital or something.
Oh, here's Teddy with the Army and Navy.
Oh, thanks, Colonel. This will make a lot of kids happy.
What's this? The USS Oregon?
Oh, no, Teddy, dear, put it back.
But the Oregon goes to Australia.
Thank you again, ma'am. Yes, sir, Colonel.
Dismissed?
Yes, sir.
I shall retire to field headquarters.
The blockhouse.
The stairs are always San Juan Hill.
Have you ever tried to persuade him he wasn't Teddy Roosevelt?
Oh, no.
Oh, he's so happy being Teddy Roosevelt.
Once, a long time ago, remember, Martha, we thought if he could be George Washington, it might be a change for him.
But he stayed under his bed for days and just wouldn't be anybody.
And we'd so much rather he'd be Mr. Roosevelt than nobody.
Well, if he's happy, I'd better be running along.
Give our love to Elaine. And Dr. Harper, please don't think too harshly of Mortimer because he's a dramatic critic. Somebody has to do these things.
Goodbye.
Did you just have tea? Isn't it rather late?
Yes. And dinner's going to be late, too.
So? Why?
Teddy!
Yes, Aunt Abby?
Good news for you. You're going to Panama and dig another lock for the canal.
Delighted. That's bully. Just bully. I shall prepare at once for the journey. Oh.
Abby, you mean?
Yes, dear?
While I was out?
Yes, dear. I just couldn't wait for you. I didn't know when you'd be back, and Dr. Harper was coming.
But, dear, all by yourself. I'll run right downstairs and see.
Oh, no, there wasn't time.
Then where did you...
Martha, look in the window seat.
The window seat?
Go ahead, dear. Lift the lid.
Oh, Abby, isn't it just too delightful? And to think you managed it all by yourself.
We're almost home, Elaine. Now make up your mind. Where do you want to go for dinner?
I don't care, Mortimer, really.
Well, suppose we wait till after the show.
Well, that'll make it pretty late, won't it?
Not with a little stinker we're seeing tonight.
I was hoping it'd be a musical. They seem to have a humanizing effect on you, darling. After a serious play, we joined the proletariat in the subway, and I listened to that lecture on the drama. It wasn't until we saw a musical that you took me home in a taxi and noticed my legs.
Elaine, where could we be married in a hurry? Say, tonight.
Now, I'm afraid Father will insist on officiating.
Now, I'll bet your father could make even the marriage service sound pedestrian.
Are you by any chance writing a review of it?
Sorry, darling. Occupational disease. Yeah, here we are. The Brewster Mansion.
Thanks, Daddy. Isn't that Teddy at the door?
Yes.
Well, what's he doing in shorts and a sun helmet?
Hello, Mortimer.
How are you, Mr. President?
Bully, thank you. Just bully. What news have you brought me?
Just this. Mr. President, the country is squarely behind you.
Yes, I know. Isn't it wonderful? Well, goodbye.
Where are you off to, Teddy?
Panama.
Panama's the cellar. He digs locks for the canal down there.
Oh, you're very sweet with him.
Teddy always was my favorite brother.
Favorite? Were there more of you?
There's another brother, Jonathan. We don't talk about him. He left Brooklyn very early, by request. Jonathan was the kind of boy who liked to cut worms in two, with his teeth.
What became of him?
I don't know. He wanted to become a surgeon like Grandfather, but he wouldn't go to medical school first, and his practice got him into trouble.
Oh. Well, goodbye, darling. I'll run over and say goodnight to Father. Before I go out with you, he likes to pray over me a little. I'll be right back. I'll cut across the cemetery.
Hello, Mortimer.
Oh, hello, Aunt Abby. Did you see my chapter on Thoreau? I want to show it to Elaine.
No, I haven't seen it, dear. We thought you'd like a little something before you leave. Martha's getting a piece of the Lady Baltimore cake. Dr. Harper was here to tea. He's concerned about Elaine going to the theater so much.
He loved tonight's horror. Murder will out.
Oh, dear. Well, I think I'll open a bottle of wine. It'll be nice with the cake.
Yeah, I can see it all now. The same old thing. When the curtain goes up... where is that chapter? The first thing you'll see, maybe in the window seat, will be a dead body. Sure, just like this one. A dead body. A dead body.
There is a happy land far, far away. Lady Baltimore cake is so nice with a little wine, don't you think, dear?
Aunt Martha, Aunt Abby.
Yes, dear?
You told me you were going to make plans for Teddy to go to that sanitarium, Happy Dale.
Yes, dear. It's all arranged. Teddy has to sign the papers.
He's got to sign them right away. You've got to know sometime. I'm frightfully sorry, but I've got some shocking news for you. Teddy's killed a man.
Nonsense, dear.
There's a body in that window seat.
Yes, dear, we know.
Oh, well, you know?
Now, Mortimer, just forget about it. Forget you ever saw the gentleman.
Forget?
We never dreamed you'd peek.
But who is he?
His name is Hoskins, Adam Hoskins. That's really all I know about him, except that he's a Methodist.
Well, what's he doing here? What happened to him?
He died.
Martha, men don't just get into window seats and die.
No, he died first.
Well, how?
Oh, Mortimer, don't be so inquisitive. The gentleman died because he drank some wine with poison in it.
How did the poison get in the wine?
Well, we put it in the wine because it's less noticeable. When it's in tea, it has a distinct odor.
You put it in the wine?
Yes. And I put Mr. Hoskins in the window seat because Dr. Harper was coming.
Oh, so you knew what you'd done. You didn't want Dr. Harper to see the body.
Well, not at tea. That wouldn't have been very nice. Now you know the whole thing, Mortimer. Just forget about it. I do think Martha and I have the right to our own little secrets. Butter plates, Martha. Butter plates.
Yes, of course, dear. Oh, Abby. While I was out, I dropped in on Mrs. Schultz. She's much better. Yes, and she would like us to take Junior to the movies again.
Well, we must do that tomorrow or the next day.
Yes, but this time we'll go where we want to go. Junior's not going to drag me into another one of those scary pictures.
Aunt Martha, Aunt Abby, what are we going to do?
What are we going to do about what, dear?
There's a body in that window seat.
Yes, Mr. Hoskins.
Well, good heavens, I can't turn you over to the police. What am I going to do?
Well, for one thing, dear, stop being so excited.
And for pity's sake, stop worrying. We told you to forget the whole thing.
Forget? My dear Aunt Abby, can't I make you realize that something has to be done?
Now, Mortimer, you behave yourself. You're too old to be flying off the handle like this.
But you can't leave him there.
We don't intend to, dear.
No, Teddy's down in the cellar digging the rock.
You mean you're going to bury Mr. Hotchkiss in the cellar?
Hoskins, dear.
Oh, yes, dear. Of course, that's what we did with the others.
Oh, no. You can't bury Mr. Others.
The other gentleman.
When you say other, do you mean others? More than one others?
Oh, yes, dear. Let me see. This is 11, isn't it, Abby?
No, dear, this makes 12.
Oh, I think you're wrong, Abby. This is only 11.
No, dear, because I remember when Mr. Hoskins first came in, it occurred to me that he would make just an even dozen.
Well, you really shouldn't count the first one, dear.
Oh, well, I was counting the first one, so that makes it 12.
Now, hello. Hello? Al? Oh, my, it's good to hear your voice.
12.
11.
Al? Oh, checking up. Well, I know I didn't pick up the tickets. Yeah, I'm glad you called. Now, get a hold of George right away. He's got to review the play for me. Yeah, I'll explain later. Now, let's see. Where were we? 12?
Yes. Abby thinks we ought to count the first one, and that makes it 12.
Well, all right. Now, all right. Who was the first one?
Mr. Midgley. He was a Baptist. He came here looking for a room.
He was such a lonely old man.
All his kith and kin were dead, and it left him so forlorn and unhappy.
We felt so sorry for him.
And then when his heart attack came and he sat in that chair looking so peaceful. Remember, Martha?
Mm-hmm.
We made up our minds then and there that if we could help other lonely old men to the same peace, we would.
He dropped dead right in that chair? Oh, how awful for you.
Oh, no, dear. Why, it was rather like old times. Your grandfather always used to have a cadaver or two around the place.
Well, I know, but...
You see, Teddy had been digging in Panama, and he thought Mr. Midgley was a yellow fever victim.
That meant he had to be buried immediately.
So we all took him down to Panama and put him in the lock.
And that's how it started?
Of course, we realized we couldn't depend on that happening again, so...
You remember those jars of poison that have been up on the shelves in Grandfather's laboratory all these years?
You know your Aunt Martha's knack for mixing things. You've eaten enough of her piccalilli.
Well, dear, for a gallon of elderberry wine, I take 1 teaspoonful of arsenic, then add half a teaspoonful of strychnine, and then just a pinch of cyanide.
Should have quite a kick.
Yes, as a matter of fact, one of our gentlemen found time to say, "How delicious."
Yes, he did. Oh, well, we'd have to get things started in the kitchen for supper.
I wish you could stay, Mortimer.
I'm trying out a new recipe.
I couldn't eat a thing.
Hello, darling. I keep you waiting.
Oh, it's you. You run along home, Elaine. I'll call you up tomorrow.
Tomorrow?
Well, you know I always call you every day or two.
Well, we're going to the theater tonight.
Oh, no, we're not. Elaine, something's come up. Now you run along home.
What's happened? If we're going to be married...
Married?
Have you forgotten that not 15 minutes ago you proposed to me?
I did? Oh, yeah. Well, as far as I know, that's still on. Now you run along home.
Listen, you can't propose to me 1 minute and throw me out of the house the next.
Well, I'm not throwing you out of the house, darling. Will you get out of here?
You push.
Now, you get out, and I'll call you in a few days.
Mortimer!
Phew. Yeah. Hello, Al. What? George is in Bermuda. Oh, well, get somebody. Get the office boy. You know, the bright one, the one we don't like. All right, then, get the printer. He knows what I write. The third machine from the left. Yeah, but Al, he might turn out to be another John Chapman. Yeah, all right.
Was that Elaine, dear?
Aunt Martha, Aunt Abby, sit down.
But Mortimer...
Sit down, there.
Well, dear?
You can't do things like that. Now, I don't know how to explain this to you, but it's not only against the law, it's wrong. It's not a nice thing to do. People wouldn't understand.
Abby, we shouldn't have told Mortimer.
Well, what I mean is, well, this has developed into a very bad habit.
Now, Mortimer, we don't try to stop you from doing things you like to do. I don't see why you should interfere with us.
Hello, Al. Oh, all right. Well, all right. I'll see the first act and tear it to pieces. All right. Now, look, I've got to go to the theater, but before I go, will you promise me something?
Well, we'd have to know what it was first.
Will you do this for me?
What do you want us to do?
Don't do anything. I mean, don't do anything. Don't let anyone in this house, and leave Mr. Hoskins right where he is.
Why? We were planning on holding services before dinner.
Services?
Certainly. You don't think we'd bury Mr. Hoskins without a full Methodist service, do you? Why, he was a Methodist.
Well, can't that wait till I get back?
Oh, then you could join us. Oh, you'll enjoy the service, especially the hymns. Remember, Martha, how beautifully Mortimer used to sing in the choir before his voice changed?
And remember, you're not going to let anyone in this house while I'm gone. Have you got some paper?
Here's some stationery. Will this do?
Oh, that'll be fine. I can save time if I write my review on the way to the theater.
Come in, Doctor.
I'm right behind you, Johnny.
Well, this is the home of my youth.
Oh.
As a boy, I couldn't wait to escape from this place. Now I'm glad to escape back into it.
Yeah, Johnny, it's a fine hideout.
The family must still live here. There's something so unmistakably Brewster about the Brewsters. I hope there's a fatted calf awaiting the return of the prodigal.
Yeah, I'm hungry. Oh, look, Johnny, a drink. Elderberry wine.
A good omen.
Here's to you, Johnny. Who's that?
Who are you? What are you doing here?
Why, Aunt Abby, Aunt Martha. It's Jonathan.
You get out of here.
But I'm Jonathan, your nephew, Jonathan.
Oh, no, you're not. You're nothing like Jonathan, so don't pretend you are. You just get out of here.
But, Aunt Abby, I am Jonathan. And this is Dr. Einstein.
And he's not Dr. Einstein either.
Not Dr. Albert Einstein, Dr. Herman Einstein.
His voice is like Jonathan's.
Have you been in an accident?
No. My face. Dr. Einstein is responsible for that. He changes people's faces.
Abby, I've seen that face before. Oh, do you remember when we took the little Schultz boy to the movies and I was so frightened? It was that face.
Aunt Martha.
Easy, Johnny, easy. Now, don't worry, ladies. The last 5 years, I give Johnny 3 new faces. This last one, well, I saw that picture, too, just before I operate, and I was intoxicated.
You see, Doctor? You see what you've done to me? Even my own family.
Johnny, you're home. These are your lovely aunts. They know you.
Well, Jonathan, it's been a long time. Where have you been all these years?
Oh, England, South Africa, Australia, and the last 5 years, Chicago. Dr. Einstein and I were in business there together.
Oh, we were in Chicago for the World's Fair.
Yes, we found Chicago awfully warm.
Yeah, it got hot for us, too.
Oh, well, it's wonderful to be in Brooklyn again. And you, Abby, Martha, you don't look a day older. Just as I remembered you. Sweet, charming, hospitable. And dear Teddy, I remember him so high. And did he get into politics? You know, Doctor, my little brother was determined to become president.
Yeah.
Well, Jonathan, it's very nice to have seen you again.
Bless you, Aunt Martha. It's good to be home again.
Well, Martha, we mustn't let what's on the stove boil over.
Oh, yes, of course. If you'll excuse us, Jonathan, unless you're in a hurry to go somewhere.
Martha!
Oh, yes, I'm coming, Abby.
Well, Johnny, where do we go from here? The police have pictures of that face. I got to operate on you right away. We got to find some place for Mr. Spinalzo, too.
Don't waste any worry on that rat.
But, Johnny, we got a hot stiff on our hands. You can't leave a dead body in a rumble seat. We shouldn't have killed him, Johnny. He was a nice fellow. He gives us a lift. And what happens?
He said I looked like Boris Karloff. That's your work, Doctor. You did that to me.
No, Johnny, we find a place somewhere. I fix you up, Chris.
Tonight.
Now, Johnny, I got to eat first. I'm hungry. I'm weak.
Jonathan, we're glad you remembered us and took the trouble to come in and say hello. But you were never happy in this house, and we were never happy while you were in it. So we've just come in to say goodbye.
But, Aunt Abby, I promised Dr. Einstein that if ever we came to Brooklyn, I'd bring him here for one of Aunt Martha's home-cooked dinners.
I'm sorry. I'm afraid there wouldn't be enough.
Oh, Abby, it's a pretty good size pot roast.
Pot roast?
I think the least we can do is...
Thank you, Aunt Martha. We'll stay to dinner.
Well, we'll hurry it along. And, Jonathan, if you want to freshen up, why don't you use the washroom in Grandfather's old laboratory?
Huh? Is that still there?
Oh, yes. Come along, Martha. We're all in a hurry.
Well, we get a meal anyway.
Grandfather's laboratory. Doctor, a perfect operating room.
Oh, too bad we can't use it.
Oh, I'll handle this. Why, this house will be our headquarters for years.
You mean? Oh, that would be beautiful, Johnny. This nice, quiet house. And those aunts of yours, what sweet ladies. I love them already. I get the bags from the car.
Doctor, we must wait till we're invited.
And if they say no...
Doctor, two helpless old ladies.
Oh. It all comes true. A beautiful dream. It's so peaceful.
That's what makes this house so perfect for us. It's so peaceful.
Richard Lockridge, co-author of Mr. and Mrs. North, took a sporting view of arsenic and old lace on that January 1st night in 1941. His own play was to open 2 nights later. But here he was, the drama critic of the New York Sun, bound to report truthfully on what he thought about arsenic. Lockridge wrote, "It is a noisy, preposterous, incoherent joy. You wouldn't believe that homicidal mania could be such great fun." This was gallant of him, and accurate, too. Now our second act of Arsenic and Old Lace begins.
Aunt Martha, you haven't lost any of your skill.
Why, thank you, Jonathan.
And now I know you and Dr. Einstein both want to get where you're going.
But, my dear aunts, I'm so full of that delicious dinner, I just can't move a muscle.
Yeah, it's so nice here.
Well, after all, it's very late.
I found it.
Did you lose something, Teddy?
I found it. The story of my life, my biography. You see, here we are, both of us. President Roosevelt and General Goethals at Culebra Cut. That's me, General, and that is you.
My, how I've changed.
Well, you see, that picture hasn't been taken yet. We haven't even started work on the Culebra Cut. General, we will both go to Panama now to inspect the locks.
No, Teddy, not to Panama.
Yeah, Panama's a long way off.
Nonsense. Just down in the cellar.
The cellar?
Yes, we let him dig the Panama Canal in the cellar.
General, as President of the United States, I demand that we inspect the locks immediately.
Teddy, I think it's time you went to bed.
I beg your pardon? Who are you?
I'm Woodrow Wilson. Go to bed.
No, you're not Wilson. But your face is familiar. Let me see. Yes. Perhaps I meet you later on my hunting trip to Africa. Yes. You look like someone I might meet in the jungle.
Teddy?
It's your brother, Jonathan, dear.
He's had his face changed.
Oh, so that's it. A nature faker.
And perhaps you had better go to bed, Teddy. Jonathan and his friend have to go to their hotel.
General Goethals, inspect the canal.
But Johnny...
Inspect the canal.
All right, Mr. President. We go to Panama.
Bully. Follow me, General. Oh, have to wear a sun helmet. It's down south, you know.
Of course. Bon voyage.
Aunt Abby, I must correct your misapprehension. We have no hotel. We came directly here. This is my home.
But, Jonathan, you can't stay here.
Aunt Abby, you have a most distinguished guest in Dr. Einstein. I'm afraid you don't appreciate his skill. In a few weeks, you'll see me looking like a very different Jonathan.
Oh, but he can't operate on you here.
Ah, I forgot to tell you. We are turning Grandfather's laboratory into an operating room. We expect to be quite busy.
Hey, shut him down in the cellar.
Dr. Einstein, my dear aunts have invited us to live with them.
Oh, you fixed it.
Well, you're sleeping here tonight.
Aunt Abby, please get our room ready.
But...
Now.
Well, come along, Martha, dear.
Johnny, when I go down in the cellar, what do you think I find?
What?
The Panama Canal.
Ah, the Panama Canal.
It's a hole Teddy dug 6 feet long and 4 feet wide.
Down there?
And it just fits Mr. Spinalzo.
Rather a good joke on my aunts. They're living in a house with a body buried in the cellar. Come on, we'll bring it in through the window.
Poor dear Mr. Hoskins. He's been so patient in the window seat. I think Teddy had better get Mr. Hoskins downstairs right away.
Abby, I will not invite Jonathan to the funeral services.
Oh, no. We'll wait until they've gone to bed and then come down and hold the services.
The general was very pleased. He says the canal is just the right size. He says that...
Teddy, there's been another yellow fever victim.
Oh, dear me. This will be a shock to the general. But I'll have to tell him. Army regulations, you know.
No, Teddy, we must keep it a secret. Yes.
A state secret?
Yes, a state secret.
Promise?
You have the word of the President of the United States. Cross my heart and hope to die.
Now, Teddy, you must take the poor man down to the canal.
And we'll come down later and hold services.
You may announce that the President will say a few words. Where is the poor devil?
He's in the window seat.
Oh, seems to be spreading. We've never had yellow fever there before. Well, up we go. He died for his country. Open the cellar door, Aunt Abby.
Johnny, are you out there?
Wait. I'll lift up Mr. Spinalzo.
Wait, I can't see good, Johnny. It's so dark.
What happened?
Someone left the window seat open. I fell in.
Well, get out. Take Mr. Spinalzo.
Oops. I lost the leg.
What's that? Here.
Johnny, somebody's coming.
Get him in the window seat. Quick.
All right.
Give me a hand in through the window.
Here. Are you in?
Yes.
Miss Abby? Miss Martha? Miss Abby, it's so dark in here.
Who are you?
Elaine Harper. I live next door.
Turn on the lights, Doctor.
Yeah. Oh, who are you? Where are Miss Abby and Miss Martha?
Perhaps we'd better introduce ourselves. This is Dr. Einstein.
Dr. Einstein. I suppose you're going to tell me you're Boris.
I'm Jonathan Brewster.
Oh, you're Jonathan?
Oh, you've heard of me.
Just this afternoon. Well, I'll be running along home now.
I think she's dangerous. She's seen us.
Baby, let her go, Johnny.
She saw us. Remember that.
Stay away from me. Take your hands off me. Oh, Teddy.
It's going to be a private funeral.
Teddy, tell these men who I am, please.
What? That's my daughter Alice.
Oh, no.
Doctor, your handkerchief.
Oh, help.
Get her down to the cellar, quick.
This way, come, please.
What's going on down there? What are you doing?
We caught a burglar, sneak thief. Go back to your room.
Look out, Johnny. She got away.
Oh, let go of me.
Elaine?
Mortimer, where have you been?
At the Henry Miller Theater. Wait, who's this?
This is your brother Jonathan, and this is Dr. Einstein.
Well, I know this isn't a nightmare, but what is it?
I've come back home, Mortimer.
Jonathan? Jonathan? What? You always were a horror, but you have to look like one?
Mortimer, Have you forgotten the things I used to do to you when we were boys? Remember the times you were tied to the bedpost, to the needles under your fingernails?
It is, Jonathan. Oh, I remember. I remember you as the most vicious, venomous form of animal life I ever knew.
Now, don't you boys start quarreling again the minute you've seen each other.
Jonathan, you're not wanted here. Now get out.
Well, I'm sleeping here tonight in your room.
Johnny, maybe we better sleep down here, on the window seat.
Window seat?
Window seat?
Yeah, the window seat.
Oh, the window seat. Well, maybe I'd better sleep down here.
Oh, we wouldn't trouble you. We insist on sleeping down here. Doctor, we'll go up and get our bags. You can have the room in a moment, Mortimer.
Mortimer,
Oh, what's the matter with you, dear?
I have almost been killed.
You've almost been... Abby. Martha.
Oh, no, it was Jonathan. He mistook her for a sneak thief. Would you like some coffee, dear?
Oh, great idea. Coffee, sandwiches. I haven't had any dinner.
Well, we'll get it ready. Come, Abby.
No wine.
No, dear.
I'm sorry I'm so late, Elaine, but it's after 12, and I... 12? Elaine, you've got to go home.
What? Mortimer, I want to know where I stand. Do you love me?
I love you very much, Elaine. I love you so much I can't marry you.
Have you suddenly gone crazy?
Oh, I don't think so, but it's just a matter of time. You see, insanity runs in my family. It practically gallops.
Now, just because Teddy is a
No, it goes way back. The first Brewster, the one who came over on the Mayflower. You know, in those days, the Indians used to scalp the settlers. He used to scalp the Indians.
But, darling, this doesn't prove you're crazy. Well, look at your aunts. They're Brewsters, aren't they? And the sanest, sweetest people I've ever known.
Well, even they have their peculiarities.
Mortimer, you're not even looking at me. Come away from that window seat.
Yeah, right away, Elaine. Another one. Elaine, you've got to go. Something very important has just come up.
Up from where? We're here alone together.
Elaine, if you love me, will you get the devil out of here?
Mortimer, will you kiss me goodnight?
Why, of course, darling. Quickly.
Oh.
Well, good night, dear. And I'll call you in a day or two.
Oh, you critic.
Aunt Martha, Aunt Abby, come in here.
Yes, dear. What is it? Oh, where's Elaine?
You promised me... Who is that in the window seat?
No one, dear.
Look. And it is not Mr. Hoskins.
Well, who can that be?
Are you trying to tell me you've never seen that man before?
I certainly am.
Now, Aunt Abby, don't try to get out of this. That's another of your gentlemen.
Mortimer, how can you say such a thing? That man is an imposter. And if he came here to be buried in our cellar, he's mistaken.
But, Aunt Abby, you put Mr. Hoskins in the window seat. Now, this man couldn't have just gotten the idea from him. By the way, where's Mr. Hoskins?
In Panama, waiting for the services, poor dear. We haven't had a minute with Jonathan in the house. Oh, dear, we always wanted to have a double funeral, but I will not read services over a total stranger.
A stranger? Aunt Abby, how can I believe you? There are 12 men down in the cellar, and you admit you poisoned them.
Yes, I did. But you don't think I'd stoop to telling a fib?
Jonathan, I want a word with you. Aunt Abby, Aunt Martha, I think Jonathan is leaving at once.
Oh, no, Martha.
Oh, yes, and you're taking your cold companion with you from the window seat.
The window seat?
You're my brother, and I'm going to give you a chance to get away. And if you don't take it, I'm going to call the police.
Mortimer, remember, what happened to Mr. Spinalzo can happen to you, too.
Oh, dear. Come in. Why, Officer Brophy.
Oh, hello, Miss Martha, Miss Abby. I saw your lights on, and I thought there might be sickness in the family.
Oh, come in, officer. This is my brother, Jonathan.
Oh, Hey, he looks familiar. Ain't I seen him somewhere?
I don't think so.
It's too bad Jonathan can't stay, isn't it?
Well, if everything's all right.
Oh, don't go, officer. Stay and have some coffee and a sandwich.
Well, if you say so.
We'll all go into the kitchen while Jonathan collects his things. All his things. Come along, officer.
Yeah, sure. Say, Mr. Brewster, I've been meaning to ask you about a play I've been writing.
Doctor, This affair between my brother and me has got to be settled.
Now, Johnny.
We're going to sleep right here tonight.
With a cop in the kitchen and Mr. Spinalzo in the window seat?
That's all he's got on us. So we take Mr. Spinalzo down and we dump him in the bay and come right back here. Hide the suitcases in the cellar. Go on.
I think we should get out, Johnny. Johnny, come quick.
What is it?
That hole in the cellar. We got an ace in the hole.
Still here, Jonathan? I thought I told you.
We're staying.
You think I was bluffing? You think I won't tell Officer Brophy what's in the window seat? Officer Brophy!
If you tell Brophy what's in the window seat, I'll tell him what's in the cellar.
The cellar?
There's an elderly gentleman down there who seems to be very dead.
What were you doing in the cellar?
What's he doing in the cellar?
No, thank you, ma'am. That's all the coffee I can drink. Oh, Mr. Brewster, I'd like to tell you the plot of that play.
No, Brophy, no, you can't stay here. You got to go and call in the precinct.
Yeah, but I want to tell you about this here play.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about it later.
All right.
Later.
Well, how about the back room at Kelly's?
Fine. I'll meet you at Kelly's later.
Great, Mr. Brewster. I'll be there. Unless I drop dead.
Yeah.
Is that you, Mortimer?
It's Jonathan, Aunt Abby. Mortimer went out.
Where are you going?
To Panama to bury Mr. Spinalzo.
But he can't stay in our cellar.
There's a friend of Mortimer's downstairs waiting for him. He and Mr. Spinalzo will get along fine together. They're both dead.
They must mean Mr. Hoskins.
You know about what's downstairs?
Of course we do, and he's no friend of Mortimer's. He's one of our gentlemen.
Your gentleman?
Besides, there's no room for Mr. Spinalzo. The cellar's crowded already.
Crowded? With what?
There are 12 graves down there now.
12 graves?
And that leaves very little room, and we're going to need it.
You mean you and Aunt Martha have murdered?
Murdered? Certainly not. It's one of our charities. So you just take your Mr. Spinalzo out of there.
You've done that here in this house, and you buried them down there?
Johnny, we've been chased all over the world. They stay right here in Brooklyn and do just as good as you do.
What?
You got 12, and they've got 12.
I've got 13.
No, Johnny, 12.
13? There's Mr. Spinalzo.
Yeah.
Then the first one in London, 2 in Johannesburg, 1 in Sydney, 1 in Melbourne, 2 in San Francisco, 1 in Phoenix.
Phoenix?
The filling station.
Oh, yeah.
The 3 in Chicago and the 1 in South Bend. That makes 13.
But you can't count the one in South Bend. He died of pneumonia.
He wouldn't have got pneumonia if I hadn't shot him.
No, Johnny, you got 12 and they've got 12. The old ladies are just as good as you are.
Oh, they are they? Well, that's easily taken care of. All I need is 1 more, that's all. Just 1 more.
Well, here I am.
Mortimer, where have you been?
I've been over getting a doctor's signature on Teddy's papers.
Mortimer, what is the matter with you?
Running around getting papers signed at a time like this.
Do you know what Jonathan is doing down there?
He's putting Mr. Hoskins and Mr. Spinalzo in together.
Oh, well, let him. Is Teddy in his room?
Teddy won't be any help.
Well, you had to go and tell Jonathan about those 12 graves. If I can make Teddy responsible for those, I can protect you, don't you see?
No, I don't see. And we pay taxes to have the police protect us. We'll call them.
Oh, but you can't. They'll find out about Mr. Hoskins and the other 12 gentlemen.
Mortimer, I don't think the police would pry into our private affairs if we asked them not to.
No, you can't do this. I won't let you.
Well, if Jonathan and Mr. Spinalzo are not out of this house by morning, we're going to call the police.
There. It's all done. done, Johnny. Mr. Hoskins and Mr. Spinal's are all put away, neat and tidy. We're all done.
You're forgetting, Doctor. My brother, Mortimer.
No, Johnny, no. Tonight, and we do that tomorrow, or the next day.
No, tonight.
No,
now.
Johnny, please, I'm tired. And tomorrow I got to operate. Tonight we go to bed, huh?
Doctor, it's going to be done tonight.
Johnny, I know that look. Okay. But the quick way, huh? The quick twist, like in London.
No, Doctor. This calls for something special. I think perhaps the Melbourne method.
Johnny, no, not that. 2 hours. And when it was all over, the fellow in London was just as dead as the fellow in Melbourne.
Get your instrument.
No, Johnny.
Get them. We operate tonight, Doctor, on Brother Mortimer.
My bugle. Mortimer, hand me my bugle.
No, Mr. President, just sign these papers.
I cannot sign any proclamation without consulting my cabinet.
But this must be a secret.
A secret proclamation? How unusual.
Japan mustn't know until it's signed.
Oh, Japan, eh? I'll sign it right away. I'll take it into the closet. A secret proclamation has to be signed. In secret.
But at once, Mr. President.
I'll have to put on my signing clothes. The interview is at an end.
Thank you, Mr. President. Sign it right away to...
Close the door, Doctor. Now, won't you sit down, Mortimer? Don't chew on the handkerchief. It's imported lace. Doctor, the curtain cord.
Yeah.
Mortimer, I've been away for 20 years, but every night I've dreamed of you. In London, I dreamed of you, and in Melbourne, There. Tight and neat. Now, Doctor, your instruments. We go to work.
Please, Johnny, for me the quick way.
All ready for you, Doctor.
Nah, I gotta have a drink. I can't do this without a drink. That wine, remember this afternoon? Where did the old lady put... Oh, here. Elderberry wine. I split it with you. We both need a drink.
Very well, Doctor. We'll drink to Mortimer. To my dear dead brother.
Captain, meeting on the double.
That idiot. He goes next.
No, not Teddy. That's where I stop. I draw the line at Teddy.
Now we've got to work fast.
Yeah, the quick way.
Yes,
Johnny.
Doctor. One quick twist of the silk handkerchief.
Hey, the colonel's got to stop blowing that horn.
It's all right, officer. You're taking the bugle away from him.
We promised the neighbors he wouldn't do that anymore. Oh, hey, Mr. Brewster. Why are you all tied up?
He was explaining the play he saw tonight. That's what happened to the fella in the play.
Oh, yeah? Gee, they practically stole that from the second act of my play. I'll tell you now. No, wait a minute. I'm going to leave you this way. This time, Mr. Brewster, you listen to the plot. Well, it starts in my mother's dressing room where I was born. Only I ain't born yet. Then we get back to me mother. There she is, lying unconscious in her lingerie. The fiend is standing over her with an axe. There. How do you like it so far, huh, Doctor?
Well, it put Johnny to sleep.
Oh, that's just the second act. Now the third act.
Johnny, wake up. I can't wake him.
What's going on?
Johnny, it's cops.
Brophy.
Oh, hi, Lieutenant. This is Mortimer Brewster. He's going to help me write me play.
Did you have to tie him up to make him listen? The whole precinct is out looking for you. It's 8 o'clock in the morning. Give me the phone and untie him.
Oh, gee, Mr. Brewster, I'll have to run through the third act quick.
Hello, Captain. Brophy's here. You don't have to worry. Yeah, we found him in the Brewster house, so you can call off the big manhunt. You want us to bring him in?
Manhunt? Oh, so I've been turned in, huh?
Oh, no, buddy, you got it wrong.
I suppose you and that stool-pigeon brother of mine will split the reward.
Reward? Grab him, Brophy.
You stay still, Mac.
Now I'll do some turning in. There are 13 bodies buried in our cellar.
Oh, yeah?
I'll show you. You come on down to the cellar with me. 13 bodies.
Maybe you better go down, Joe.
With him? Not me. He looks like Boris Karloff.
Ah! Get him off me, Rooney. Help me.
Get your head out of the way. Well, what do you know about that? Imagine him claiming there was 13 bodies buried in the cellar.
Get him out of here.
Well, I'll have to drag him by the feet. I'll take him into the kitchen.
What a story. 13 bodies buried in the cellar.
Sir, there are 13 bodies buried in the cellar.
Who are you?
I'm President Roosevelt.
What is this? He's the one that blows the bugle.
Oh, dear me. Brother Jonathan, a yellow fever victim.
No, Colonel. He's a spy. We caught in the White House.
Well, will you get him out of here? Now, you. Didn't anybody untie you yet? Here, I'll do it.
Now, Lieutenant, listen to me.
That crazy brother of yours has got to be put away. We don't want no more bugles blowing.
Oh, yes, I know. I have the papers right here. Teddy's going to Happy Dale. Now, about those 13 bodies.
Yeah. Can you imagine what would happen if that cockeyed story got around? And now he's starting a yellow fever scare. It's lucky I didn't fall for that story. 13 bodies.
I beg your pardon. I'm Mr. Weatherspoon of Happy Dale. I believe I'm to pick up a gentleman.
Oh, Teddy.
Just finished my cabinet meeting. Yes, Mortimer?
Mr. President, I have very good news for you. Your term of office is over.
Oh, then I start on my hunting trip to Africa, don't I? Well, who's this? Trying to get into the White House before I've moved out?
Who, Teddy?
Taft!
Oh, this isn't Mr. Taft, Teddy. This is Mr. Witherspoon. He's your guide for Africa.
Oh, bully. Glad to meet you, sir. Aunt Martha, Aunt Abby, I'm on my way to Africa. Isn't that wonderful? Oh, if the safari comes, tell them to wait.
Aunt Abby, Aunt Martha, this is Mr. Witherspoon from Happy Dale. Teddy is going with him.
No, he is not. Not while we're alive.
The police want him to go. He blew his bugle again.
That's right, ma'am.
Well, if he goes, we're going with him.
Yes, we won't be separated from Teddy.
But we can't take sane people at Happy Dale.
Look, will you settle this? There are still murders to be solved in Brooklyn.
Yes. Oh, are there?
Teddy's got to go. With the story he's telling, we'd have to dig up the cellar. He says there are 13 bodies buried down there.
But there are 13 bodies buried in our cellar.
I'll take your word for it, lady. I'm a busy man.
How about it, Witherspoon?
Well, they'd have to be committed.
Well, Teddy committed himself. Can't they commit themselves? Can't they sign the papers?
Certainly.
Oh, well, then, if we can go with Teddy, we'll sign the papers. Where are they?
Yes, where are they?
Sign them up, Witherspoon. I want to get this cleaned up.
Oh, my, we've overlooked one thing. We're going to need the signature of a doctor.
A doctor? Oh, yes, a doctor. Dr. Einstein.
Me?
Come over here. We'd like you to sign some papers.
Yes, please, I must go.
No, just come right over here, Doctor. At one time last night, I thought Doctor was going to operate on me.
Please.
Yes, Doctor. Just come right over here. Sign right here, Doctor.
Yes, very well. Here. There.
Are you leaving us, Doctor?
I think I must go.
Oh, aren't you going to wait for Jonathan?
I don't think we're going to the same place.
There now. Everything's quite in order.
Well, I'm almost relieved. I'm really looking forward to going. The neighborhood here has really run down, so... Well, Mortimer, we're all ready to go now. The house will be yours, and we want you to live in it.
Oh, no, Aunt Abby. The house is too full of memories.
Oh, dear, but you'll need a house when you're married.
I'm afraid I can't ever marry Elaine or anybody.
Oh, there's something else, Mortimer. You signed our papers as next of kin.
Oh, of course, why not?
But you see, dear, you're not really a Brewster.
Not a Brewster?
No, dear, your mother was a widow when she came to us as a cook, and you were born about 3 months afterward. But she was such a good cook that we didn't want to lose her, so Brother married her.
I'm not really a Brewster?
Now, don't feel badly about it, dear.
Oh, no.
Oh, it's a tragedy, isn't it? Nobody knows who your father is. He might be anybody.
You're right. You're right. Well, isn't it wonderful? He might be anybody. I've got to tell Elaine. He might be anybody.
All right, Jonathan, come on.
I'm coming, Lieutenant. Goodbye, aunties. So this house is seeing the last of the Brewsters. Well, I can't bet on my record now, but neither can you. At least I have that satisfaction. The score stands even. 12-12.
Jonathan always was a mean boy. Never could stand to see anybody get ahead of him.
I wish we could show him he isn't so smart.
Well, ladies, perhaps we'd better be going.
Martha? Yes, Abby? Oh, yes. Mr. Witherspoon, does your family live with you at Happy Dale?
I have no family.
Oh, that must make it very lonely for you.
I suppose it does.
Martha?
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Witherspoon, I think at least we should offer you a glass of elderberry wine.
Elderberry wine? You grow your own elderberries?
No, but the cemetery is full of them.
You don't see much elderberry wine nowadays. I thought I'd had my last glass of it.
Oh, no.
Here it is.
Well, ladies, to a long life.
You have just heard the Best Plays production of Arsenic and Old Lace, starring Boris Karloff and Donald Cook. Now, here again is your host, drama critic John Chapman.
Joseph Kesselring never wrote a sequel to Arsenic and Old Lace, so we don't know what happened to Mr. Witherspoon. Perhaps someday the author will get around to it. In the meantime, we will have another Best Play for you next Sunday. It will be a rather strange and quite lovely piece, Dark of the Moon, which Howard Richardson and William Burney made from the old hillbilly folk song about Barbara Allen. Our star will be Alfred Drake. Let's all meet again next Sunday in the mountains called the Great Smokies. This is Chapman saying goodbye until then.
Arsenic and Old Lace was transcribed and adapted for radio by Ernest Kenoy. Boris Karloff was Jonathan, Donald Cook was Mortimer. Evelyn Varden and Gina Dare appeared as Abby and Martha, Edgar Staley as Dr. Einstein, Wendell Holmes as Teddy Brewster, Joan Tompkins as Elaine, Arthur Maitland as Mr. Witherspoon, Ted Osborne as Reverend Harper, and Ed Latimer as Brophy. Best Plays is an NBC production, supervised by William Welch and directed by Edward King. This is Fred Collins speaking. Tonight, America's Press Conference. It's Meet the Press on NBC.
At 6:30. KFI Los Angeles. Listen, a new Packard four-door sedan costs just $29.20 plus tax and license, delivered right here in Southern California. Packard costs less for what you get than any other car. Up to 30 months to pay at Earl C. Anthony Incorporated, 1000 South Hope or 9130 Wilshire Boulevard.
Lux presents Hollywood. The Lux Radio Theater brings you Barbara Stanwyck and Robert Taylor in Smilin' Through with H.B. Warner. Ladies and gentlemen, your producer, Mr. Cecil B. DeMille. Greetings from Hollywood, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight we bring you a romance of two generations in a play that I believe will last far beyond our own generation in the American theater. Smilin' Through had a long run on Broadway and also has to its credit 2 hit motion pictures. And the reason is that it's truly a great love story. Of course, it takes two to play at that game, and we couldn't think of any stars better suited to the parts than Barbara Stanwyck and Robert Taylor. But as Bobby Burns once observed, the best laid schemes of mice and men gang off to glee. In this case, our best laid schemes went to glee 3 specific times during the past several weeks, because Barbara had a date with a motion picture camera, or Bob had, or they both had. But we played a waiting game, as this combination of play and stars was well worth waiting for. Smiling Through is really 2 love stories, because the haunting secret of a romance in the past is the barrier between Kathleen O'Hara and Kenneth Wayne at the time of our play. Barbara Stanwyck is Kathleen O'Hara in the modern day and Munyin Clare in the past generation. Robert Taylor will be heard as Kenneth Wayne and then, going backward in time, as Jerry Wayne. So both our stars do double duty tonight, just as our product, Lux Flakes, does double duty all the time. Clever women have learned that Lux Flakes is both kind to their clothes and easy on the budget. Now we begin the dramatic story of Smiling Through. As our curtain slowly rises on Act 1, starring Robert Taylor as Kenneth Wayne and Jerry Wayne, and Barbara Stanwyck as Kathleen O'Hara and Munyin Clare, with H.B. Warner as John Carteret. It's June 1914, just 2 short months before the rumble of guns from France will shatter the dreamy quiet of the English countryside. In a pleasant old garden near London, 2 elderly men are seated beneath the trees, a table before them, on which is set a never-ending game of dominoes. No move has been made for the last 10 minutes. With a gesture of impatience, one of the men picks up his cane and raps it smartly against the legs of the table.
John, wake up.
What? Oh, my play?
This is a very exciting game, John, with you going to sleep after every move.
Let me see, 12 and 3 of 15 and 5 of 20. And I wasn't asleep, Owen.
Oh, then if you weren't asleep, why didn't you play the 6-6 there, where I expected you to?
You and I have been playing this game for 50 years. You ought to know I never do what anybody expects me to.
Funny how an otherwise upright man can be so low down about games. By the way, what time are we expected at Fred's tonight?
8:30. And I'm not going.
Not going? Why? You don't often refuse a chance to play whist.
There'll be a moon tonight. A full moon. I never leave here when it's moonlight.
Oh, John, are you going to start that? I wonder if you know how I dread to see you in these moods.
Moods?
Do you mean to say you're going to sit here in this garden all night again and try to conjure up spooks? Really, John, sometimes you give me the creeps. Do you know what people think?
They think I'm a little touched, don't they, Owen?
I don't blame them, this constant playing with the supernatural.
Yeah, there's nothing supernatural about it. It's beautifully natural.
The past is dead, John. You ought to forget it.
No, you're wrong. You're wrong, Owen. The past is with us. It's here about us all the time. It's merely a question of making some sort of contact with it.
I don't believe it. It's ridiculous.
For a man of science, Doctor, you have a very small mind.
Your move. Where's Kathleen? I said, where's Kathleen?
Oh, I don't know. Off riding with Willie Aimley, I suppose.
Over by the Wayne estate?
I believe so. Hope she's not jumping those fences again.
I came by the Wayne estate on my way here, John.
Yes?
Yes, it'll be quite a job fixing it up after all this time. Place has gone completely to seed.
What do you mean, fixing it up? No one's lived there for 50 years.
There's someone living there now. Kenneth Wayne.
What's that?
Kenneth Wayne. Jerry Wayne's son. Yeah, he arrived from America yesterday.
Jerry Wayne's son.
I thought I'd better tell you, John.
Why didn't he stay away? Why did he have to come back here?
It's only natural that the boy should want to look after his father's property. You heard that Jerry Wayne had died, I suppose.
No, I hadn't.
Yeah, in America 3 years ago. From all I can understand, his wife never knew that Jerry had been guilty of...
Stop it, Owen. Stop it. I don't want to hear any more about Jerry Wayne or his wife or his son. It's a subject I finished with 50 years ago. I don't want it reopened.
I imagine it may be reopened in spite of you, John. Kenneth Wayne is your neighbor. You naturally come here to pay his respects.
I won't have it.
I won't have him in my house. John, the boy knows nothing of what happened here, and after all, you can't hold him responsible for what his father did. 50 years is a long time to hold a hatred, John.
No, so that's what you meant. The past is dead. Forget it.
Yes, John.
Well, I can't. I'll never forget it. I want nothing to do with Kenneth Wayne, and Kathleen shall have nothing to do with him either. Ellen.
Yes, Mr. Carteret?
Ellen's my niece returned from her ride?
No, sir, she hasn't.
When she does, tell her I want to see her. At once, please.
I look at it, Ellen, as Kathleen, is this. We've known each other for years, ever since we were children.
Oh, I know, Willie. Perhaps that's the trouble.
I suppose that means you won't even think about it?
Oh, I have thought about it, Willie, but my thoughts keep going around in a circle, and they always come back to the same place. I'm really sorry, Willie, but the answer's still no.
Well, I didn't expect anything else, so I'm not disappointed.
Oh, Willie, you're a darling. And if you didn't ask me to marry you at least once every month, I'd miss it horribly.
I will say that I'm a sort of solid person, Kathleen. Substantial, if you know what I mean. I won't ever change.
Oh, I'm sure of that, Willie, but now I think we'd better ride back. Will you give me a hand up?
Be careful now, Kathleen. And please don't ride as if the devil were after us.
Come on, Willie. I'll race you home.
Kathleen, wait! Kathleen! Kathleen, pull up. Pull up. We're going too fast for this ground.
Across the Wayne Meadow, Willie. We'll take the gate on the west side.
You can't jump that gate. You'll kill yourself. Go around the wall, Kathleen.
I'm taking the gate, Willie. See you at home.
Kathleen, come back. The top post is up. Kathleen! Whoa. Kathleen, are you hurt?
Oh, I don't... No, I don't think so. Let me see. Oh, no. No, I'm not hurt.
Oh, thank heaven. I
Oh.
told you not to take that jump.
Well, I almost made it.
You are hurt.
Oh, just my ankle. I must have turned it when I fell.
Is it very bad?
No, only a sprain. I think I'll live.
Can you walk?
Oh, I doubt if I... Oh, no, Willie, I can't.
Well, that's awkward. What do we do now?
We go home as soon as you can get me there.
Well, I'm afraid the horses have run off.
Oh, dear.
Of course, I could carry you, I suppose, but...
Oh, could you, Willie?
Well, perhaps I'd better get a car, Kathleen.
Oh, all right.
I think you'll be more comfortable. I won't be long.
And don't tell Uncle John. He'll be furious.
Oh, I won't.
Oh.
Hello.
Oh, hello.
I thought I heard voices over this way. Oh, what happened to the other one?
You mean the other voice? Oh. He went home for a car.
Oh. It's a grand afternoon, isn't it?
Lovely.
Nice view from here.
Beautiful.
Did you walk all the way up the hill?
No, I came on a horse.
Horse?
Yes, he went home, too.
Oh. Well, I didn't mean to poke my nose into your business. Maybe I'd better go home.
Oh, I'm so sorry. You're American, aren't you?
Yes, that's right. How'd you know?
Deduction.
I just arrived yesterday.
Are you going to be staying in the neighborhood?
I hope so.
Well, then we ought to know each other. My name's Kathleen O'Hara.
Kathleen O'Hara? Irish?
How did you know? I live in that house down there, see?
Oh, the Carteret place.
Yes, he's my uncle.
I was going to drive over there this evening and say hello. Not sure it's done that way in England, but I thought I'd plunge in and see what happens.
Oh, you won't find us very hard to get along with. Just on the other side of the house is Dr. Harding's, and this is the old Wayne place here. No one lives here anymore.
Oh, yes, someone does. I live here.
Huh? Oh, then you're Kenneth Wayne.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember now. I heard you were coming. How do you do, Mr. Wayne?
How do you do, Miss O'Hara?
Well, since we're going to be next-door neighbors, we must be friends.
Yes. Shall we start now?
How do you mean?
Come up to the house for tea.
Well, I'd love to, except for one thing.
What's that?
I can't walk.
You can't... What'd you say?
I tried to jump your gate over there, and instead I landed over here. I've sprained my ankle.
Do you mean to tell me that all the time we've been talking... Why didn't you say something?
Oh, it's not very bad.
Here, put your arms up.
What for?
I'm going to take you home, of course.
You mean carry me? Ha! I'll bet you don't make it.
No harm in trying. Up you go.
I think I can walk to the chair. You can put me down now.
Oh, no. When I start a job, I finish it. Right here?
Thanks. Now I'll have to give you tea.
Oh, Miss Kathleen, what's happened to you?
It's nothing, Ellen. Will you tell Uncle John I'm home?
Yes, Miss.
And bring some tea, Ellen. Sit down, please.
Thank you, but don't you think you'd better do something about that ankle?
Oh, it's much better, really. I told you I could have walked halfway.
Kathleen, you all right?
Of course, Uncle John.
I've sent for Owen. He'll be here right away.
Oh, Uncle John, please stop fussing. There's nothing the matter except this gentleman thought he had to carry me home.
Oh.
How do you do, Mr. Carteret?
You're Kenneth Wayne, aren't you?
Yes, sir.
I'd know you anywhere. You're just like him.
Just... Oh, I suppose you mean my father, sir.
Yes, I mean your father.
Uncle John.
Thank you for bringing my niece home. Is there anything we can do for you?
No.
Uncle John, Mr. Wayne is staying for tea.
I see. Excuse me.
Well, I'm dreadfully sorry. There must be some... Oh, well, I can't imagine.
Oh, it's quite all right. I don't pretend to know what it's all about, but... Well, I'll run along.
Oh, you can't. Please don't.
Oh, you really don't want me to stay. Let's not try to be polite. Well, perhaps we'll meet again sometime.
Of course we will.
Goodbye, then.
Goodbye, and thank you. Ellen. Ellen.
Yes, miss?
Will you ask Uncle John if he can come here a moment?
Well, he's in the garden, Miss Kathleen. He said that he didn't wish to be disturbed. He'd be there all evening, he said.
Oh.
You know how he is, miss, when there's going to be a moon. It might be better if I didn't...
Yes, never mind, Ellen.
Long John, for the first time in your life, you're completely in the wrong. I'd rather not talk of it. I came here to talk of it, and you must listen to me. You might as well know that Kathleen has been seeing young Wayne. Against my wishes. Why shouldn't she? You've explained nothing to her. You're being unfair to her and to the boy. Why are you so sympathetic all of a sudden, Owen? Because I've met him, I've spoken to him, and I know he's lonely. People round here can't forget what his father did, but he doesn't know what it's all about. He's proud. He feels it. I'm surprised he's staying here as long as he has. If he feels anything besides arrogance and egotism, he's the first Wayne who ever did. You're blind, John. Your hatred has blinded you to everything. Don't you know that Kathleen's in love with him? Now, that's impossible. She can't be. She is, John. And who are you or I to say her heart isn't telling her what's best? Our lives have jogged along 3/4 of their way. Her life is just budding, and the lad's fine. He's the son of the man who was responsible for the greatest sorrow I ever knew. His son. His own son. The same stock. In this very garden 50 years ago. Why, you were here. You saw her little white face. And you've seen me live on here for 50 years without her. And you dare to tell me... John, stop it. I don't want you ever to speak of it again, do you hear, Owen? Never.
Dr. Harding. Dr. Harding.
Yes, Jimmy?
Dr. Harding, sir. They want you in the village. You're to come at once, sir.
Who? Where?
At the recruiting station, sir. War's been declared.
We'd better say goodnight here. I'll go the rest of the way alone.
Again? I never quite get past the garden wall, do I?
I'm sorry, Ken.
I know. But some evening I'm going to climb into that garden of yours. It's becoming an obsession with me, like the 7th door that must never be opened. Oh, Kathleen, what is it? Why do people hate me so? What have I done? What haven't I done?
I don't know, Ken. If I did, I'd tell you.
You must know something. I've been here for 3 months, and the only people who've even spoken to me are you and Dr. Harding. There must be some reason for that.
I know this much, Ken. It's something to do with your father and my Uncle John's sweetheart, my Aunt Mooneen, years and years ago. Dr. Harding told me, but that's all he'd say. And then, every night when there's a moon like this, Uncle John goes into the garden. He'll stand looking at the gate hour after hour. And then he'll hold out his arms in front of him as if he's waiting for someone. And he'll call her name. Mooneen. Mooneen.
And then?
I don't know what happens then. I'm afraid to look.
I don't believe that someone does come to him.
I'm Irish, Ken. We can believe a great deal that we can't see.
Kathleen, whatever this thing is that stands between us, will it always be there?
I don't know.
There must be something we can do. We can go to him, tell him that we love each other.
Ken.
I've never said that to you before. Never thought I had to. But you've known, haven't you?
Yes, I've known.
Well, then let me speak to him. Let me tell
Oh,
him.
no, Ken, not yet, please.
But why? Why, Kathleen?
Because he hates you so. And because he loves me. He's done everything for me. When my mother died, I was alone in the world. He sent for me. He's like my father, and he's old, and I think unhappy. Or let me tell him, Ken, at the right time.
Will it be soon?
Perhaps.
It must be soon. I've joined up, Kathleen.
Joined up?
Yes, I'm waiting for word now. I may leave in the morning to join my regiment.
But you're an American.
I'm not sure what I am. My father was English.
But you don't have to go. They can't make you go.
Now, would you want me to hide behind that?
Oh, Ken. Ken.
That's why it must be soon, darling. It'll be so much easier leaving you if I know that when I come back, you'll be here.
Kathleen.
It's Uncle John.
Kathleen, is that you out there? Ah.
Good evening, sir.
It's getting late, Kathleen. You coming in?
Uncle John, there's something we have to tell you.
Tell me inside. Good night, Mr. Wayne.
Mr. Carteret, I don't mean to be disrespectful, but I should like to stay if you don't mind.
You've made that evident in the past. In spite of the fact that you realize you're not welcome here.
Uncle John.
Will you go into the garden, please, Kathleen? Well?
Mr. Carteret, I don't deserve the treatment I get from you.
That's a matter of opinion.
You've nursed a prejudice against me that has no foundation.
You are a Wayne. That's its foundation.
If you'll forgive me, sir, that's unfair. You're holding a grudge against me for some injustice my father did you.
Injustice?
I don't know the facts, but I did know my father.
So did I.
I resent that, sir. Speaking of a man who's dead.
I'd gladly say it to his face if he were alive.
Mr. Carteret, I'm entitled to stand on my own merits. Because I happen to be the son of a man with whom you disagree.
You speak very lightly of the disagreement between your father and me.
I've heard vague hints. Now I want to know the facts.
Your mother didn't enlighten you before she died?
No, sir.
She evidently wished to spare you. It's not fair to disclose a secret she tried so hard to keep.
Just a moment, Mr. Carteret. I joined up last week. I'm leaving for the front tomorrow. I run the same risk as anyone else, and it's quite possible I may not come back. I should like to say goodbye to Kathleen.
I shall deliver your message.
I'd like to see her, please.
I'm afraid that's impossible.
Mr. Carteret, I love Kathleen, and she loves me. You're going to find it difficult to keep us apart.
I shall do my best.
Then let me advise you, sir. Don't count on my being killed because I won't be. I'll come back. I promise you that.
Kathleen, are you crying? Kathleen, oh, my child. Do you hate me so?
I love you, Uncle John. But I love Ken, too.
Kathleen, can't you trust me? I've taken care of you ever since you were a child. Believe me, darling, I'm only trying to take care of you now. Time will heal your heartbreak, Kathleen.
Has it healed yours? Aren't you still holding a grudge against Ken's father? Aren't you still cherishing a love that doesn't heal? Has time cured your heartbreak?
Kathleen, it's time you knew the truth about the man whose son you say you love.
Am I disturbing you, John?
No. I'm glad you're here, Owen. I think Kathleen should know what happened in this garden 50 years ago. You were here that night. You can bear me out.
Let me tell her. At some other time, John.
No. She must know now. Come here, Kathleen. Sit here, dear. Beside me.
The curtain falls on Act 1 of Smilin' Through. In a moment, Mr. DeMille brings you Act 2, starring Barbara Stanwyck, Robert Taylor, and H.B. Warner. And now, a word of thanks to the women of our audience who have given such a warm reception to the product which sponsors tonight's play, New Quick Lux Flakes. You know, it isn't easy to improve a famous product like Lux, which has become such a friend to so many millions of women. But women everywhere are saying that now Lux is even better than before.
That's true, Mr. Ruick. Though I used to hear girls say Lux just couldn't be improved.
Yes, I'm sure many women have thought that, Sally. Now, here are 3 points women especially like about new Quick Lux. 1, these delicate flakes are so fast. They bubble into suds at the touch of water. In water as cool as your hand, new Quick Lux dissolves 3 times as fast as 10 other leading soaps tested. That's 1 point women appreciate. 2, new Quick Lux is so thrifty. A little goes so far. In fact, ounce for ounce, it gives more suds than any of the 10 other soaps tested. And that's true even in hard water. The 3rd point is purity. New Quick Lux has the same perfect gentleness you've always depended on. It hasn't any harmful alkali, no builders or fillers. Anything safe in plain water is safe in New Quick Lux. Speed, thrift, safety. Those are the 3 reasons women are so enthusiastic about the new Quick Lux. It comes in the same familiar box at no extra cost to you. So why not get a big box tomorrow and use it for stockings, underthings, and all washables. For dishes, too, to save your hands. Now, our producer, Mr. DeMille. Act 2 of Smilin' Through, starring Barbara Stanwyck as Kathleen O'Hara and Muneen Clare, and Robert Taylor as Kenneth Wayne and Jerry Wayne, with H.B. Warner as John Carteret. In the old garden, the full round moon shines down on the shadowy figures of John Carteret, Dr. Harding, and Kathleen. Slowly, John Carteret begins his story, his eyes bright again, as they were some 50 years ago.
50 years ago, on the 18th of June, this old house was in a hubbub of excitement. It was a lovely summer night like this. Over the gate yonder, the honeysuckle and roses grew just as they do in the Junes of today. Everything was the same except for some witches' lanterns placed here and there. It was the night Muneen, Clare, and I were to be married. She had arrived that day with her sister, Mary, your mother, Kathleen. As the long twilight faded into darkness, the old house was lit by 1,000 candles. Snatches of laughter and bits of bantering chatter floated out into the garden. Someone was playing something softly, liquid, on the harp. I could hear it still. It was her little song, Muneen's song, the one I taught you to sing so many years ago. There was still an hour before the ceremony. Suddenly there was a ringing at the gate bell. Ellen went quickly to answer it.
Why, Dr. Harding, it's about time.
Good evening, Ellen. Am I late?
Mr. Carteret's been worried to death.
Is that you, Owen?
Good evening, John.
Oh, good Lord, I thought you'd never get here. Did you bring the ring?
Now, don't worry. Everything's all right.
Well, come inside, man. There are 1,000 things to attend to yet.
John, I've something to tell you.
Oh, what, Owen, what?
I stopped in at the George and Dragon on my way here to get something to steady my nerves.
Well.
Jerry Wayne was there, John, drinking more than was good for him and talking about her.
Muneen? He was talking about Muneen?
Now, John, there's nothing you can do about it, only I think you ought to be on your guard. He's not been asked to the wedding, of course.
Of course not.
I'm wondering if that was wise. Oh, I know how you feel about him. No man has the right to make threats merely because he's refused by a woman. But Wayne's a strange, bitter nature. At any rate, he was making some vague threats that there was still time and the wedding wasn't over yet.
You've nothing to worry about, Owen. That kind of man usually takes it out in talking. Come inside. Ellen. The bell.
Coming. Who is it? Oh, Mr. Wayne. I thought it was...
A guest, Ellen? No, just a visitor.
Who is it you want, sir? We're very busy just now.
First, I want to come in.
I don't think you're expected, Mr. Wayne.
I know that. No place for the rejected suitor amidst the wedding guests, is there? His great crime was that he loved the lady and the lady didn't love him.
You've been drinking, Mr. Wayne. I do hope you'll go quietly away and not make any disturbance. Tonight of all nights.
Take this note to Miss Munyin. I'll wait.
Miss Munyin is dressing, and I don't think she wants to hear from you.
Do as I tell you.
No, sir. I will not.
I want that message taken to her before the wedding. Understand?
Ellen, Mr. Carteret wants you.
Oh, Miss Mary.
Ellen, what is it? What's the matter?
It's Mr. Wayne, Miss Mary.
Oh.
My respects, Miss Mary. Will you have the goodness to deliver this note to your sister?
Jerry Wayne, you had no right to come here. It's not Munyin's fault at all if she doesn't love you. Oh, why can't you take your dismissal like a man and not come round to trouble her on the most wonderful night of her life?
If you'll take her that note and let me wait for an answer, I'll go quietly. If not, I'll stay and watch the wedding like a welcome guest. Only I don't vouch for what I'll say or do. Now, will you take the note or won't you?
I'll take it. But I don't like this, Mr. Wayne. I don't like your being here.
I'll go when I receive an answer to my note.
Wait here, then, please.
Jerry, where are you, Jerry?
Munyin, I'm here.
Ah, Jerry, 'twas nice of you to come around. I knew you'd never let me get married without wishing me well.
Munyin, you're so lovely. You're so beautiful. Oh, my darling.
Jerry, don't.
You're not going to marry him. It isn't true. Tell me it isn't true.
Oh, now you mustn't begin this all over again, Jerry.
I won't let you. I've as much to offer as he has. I was a fool to give you up without a fight, but it's not too late. You must come away with me now. Now, Munyin, tonight.
Jerry.
Oh, don't look at me like that, as if you hated me. I love you. It's killing me. I can't stand it. Oh, Munyin, I know I'm behaving like a crazy man, and that's what I am, crazy with love and jealousy. The thought of you belonging to another man drives me mad. I don't know myself. I can't think. I must stop it somehow. He won't have you, not if I can prevent it.
Jerry, how much do you love me?
More than all the world. More than life itself. I can't give you up to him.
Then listen to me. Do you know what you're going to do to prove your love for me? You're going to leave me now, bravely and wishing me joy. And you're going to go along home and let me be married to the man I love. Because you love me.
I can't.
You can. You will. Look at me, Jerry. Look at me and tell me that you want me to be happy, even though it means unhappiness for you.
I can bear it when I'm with you, Munyin. It's when I'm alone.
Ah, when you're alone, say over and over to yourself, I'm doing it for her. Then it'll come out all right. Will you try?
Yes, Munyin.
Thank you, Jerry. Sure, it's a dog's life I'd be leading you, Jerry, not loving you. You don't deserve that. Now, you must go. You promised that if I came down...
Munyin, shall I never see you again?
Often, I hope, when I come back here to live. If you'll promise to remember what I say. Now, wish me well, Jerry. And mean it.
Goodbye, Munyin. I love you. I shall always love you.
Ah, Jerry. Goodbye, my dear.
Is everything ready? Mary, where's John? Have you seen him?
Why, you're the best man, Owen. He's your responsibility.
John! John! Where are you? John!
Ah, they're calling you, John. We'd better go in.
In a moment.
I'm not supposed to see you till the ceremony. Didn't you know that? It's the very worst of bad luck.
I've heard rumors of this nonsense, Munyin. Is it really true? Do you know when I came out here before and saw you? When you turned around to me with the moonlit all silver in your hair, you looked like a little white ghost coming down on a moonbeam to greet me.
I'm not a ghost, John. I'm real. But I love you till I am one. And after.
Nothing shall ever part us, Munyin. Promise me.
Not even death itself. Because if I should die and leave you, John, I'd be so lonely for you, I'd come back to you. You'd never be without me for a single minute.
Munir.
John, what was that they gave?
Who's there? How is it?
Jerry.
Yes, it's Jerry. I've come to wish you well, John.
Jerry, you promised you'd go away.
But I didn't. Go into the house, Moonine. I want to talk to him.
Jerry, wait. You can't.
Get her away.
Go in, Munir.
I won't leave you.
Please.
Not till I know what he wants.
If you've come here to create a scene at the wedding...
There isn't going to be any wedding.
Threats like that won't do you any good. I'll settle with you afterwards. Now leave the place.
You'll settle with me now. I wasn't able to keep you from winning her, but I can keep you from marrying her.
John, he has a gun.
Get back, Munir.
No! Oh! John.
Munir. Munir. Oh, my darling. My darling.
Hurt.
I never meant that. I didn't mean to. I never meant that. I swear it. I never meant it. I never meant it.
Munir.
John, what is it? He's killed her. He's killed her.
The doctor, quick. I want Owen. Send somebody after him and Wayne. Head Wayne off. He mustn't get away.
John.
Oh, my darling. Try with all your strength to help me save you. Owen will be here.
Too late. I know. It's a pity, isn't it?
It's only a wound. Owen will know what to do, darling.
John, I said not even death itself. It's funny when you think of it. Like a warning.
Munir, don't leave me.
Never fear. Love like this can't die. I'll find a way to come back. Just you wait and see.
No. Munir.
John, I love you. That's all that counts. Oh, please. Don't be sad. And, John...
Yes?
I've always been such a vain creature, and I can't help thinking what a charming ghost I shall be. Listen, John, do you remember my song? There's a little green gate at whose trellis I wait, while two eyes so true come smiling through. I'll be there, waiting, just at the end of the road.
Munir. The way she died, in my arms, here in this garden, 50 years ago. Love like that, Kathleen, is like the smile of God. And when it's taken from you, it's as though the smile of God had ceased for you forever. But year after year, she has come to me. Sometimes every moonlight night. Sometimes with long, lonely times between. But always, when I needed her, she was beside me. Whenever I met with trouble or sickness, she was there. And the comfort of it was so great that it made little difference whether I lived 1 year after her or 100. If only she was with me now and then.
Uncle John, if you've known love like that through the years and after the years, how is it you can be so hard on me? I love too, Uncle John. Can't you understand?
You're the stock of my Munir herself, and his is the blood of the Waynes. And you don't belong to Catherine.
I love him.
You must forget him and make an end of
Now,
this.
don't ask me that. I can't.
You must.
Uncle John, you talk of love being like the smile of God. You're not the only one God smiles upon. He smiled on me, too, and on Ken. And I'm not going to let you come between us. You can't.
Kathleen, where are you going?
I'm going to Ken.
Kathleen! Kathleen.
John, let her go. It's her right.
You're against me still. After all that I've recalled of what happened that night, you're against me still.
All that was 50 years ago.
He's his son.
That's not the boy's fault.
And Kathleen's her flesh and blood.
That's not Kathleen's fault. They love each other. You're hard and cruel, John, and I'm against you. You're doing a wicked thing, and someday you'll bitterly regret it. Good night.
Munyin. Munyin. Why don't you come to me? I need you, Munyin.
Oh, John. Is it so hard to learn the lessons of love? I'm here, my darling. But you'll never be able to see me while you have hate in your heart. It breaks the spell. And 'tis so light and slender a thing. I know you want me. But you'll have to sweep out all the cobwebs of revenge and hatred from your thoughts before we two can talk together. Love of me is not enough. There must be no dark shadows of unkindness or of anger. Love must shine all around. Goodbye, John. Goodbye, my darling.
After a brief intermission, Robert Taylor, Barbara Stanwyck, and H.B. Warner will return in Act 3 of Smilin' Through. Meantime, I'd like Lou Silvers to play a few bars of music. Thank you, Lou. Ah, that lovely theme always says spring, doesn't it? And spring to a housewife often means...
Spring house cleaning.
Ah, go to the head of the class, Sally. And spring house cleaning should remind women of...
New quick flux.
Yes, because it can be a maid of all work to you at this time. To give you an idea of all the things you can do with New Quick Lux, we've worked out a special alphabet for washables. Come on, Sally. Give us your Lux ABCs.
Okay. A is for Afghans. Lux keeps them so cozy. B is for blankets.
Blue, green, or rosy.
C is for china and curtains. I'm meaning you save a lot when you give them Lux cleaning.
Good poetry and good sense, too, Sally.
D is for draperies, and keep this in mind. To color and fabrics, New Quick Lux is kind. E for embroideries, your linens and such. F is for furniture. Dirt flies at the touch of those rich, quick suds that help you so much. And,
Well, G, H, and I come next, Sally. Or used to when I learned the alphabet.
Oh, yes. Glasses, hairbrushes, ice boxes, and keys. The keys of pianos Lux cares for with ease.
How about J, Sally?
Oh, jewelry, of course. Lux leaves it so bright. And K for the kitchen, all shining in white. L is for lampshades, the washable kind.
I'll interrupt here. I hope you don't mind. Ladies, these are just a few of the many ways you can use New Quick Lux in your spring house cleaning. It's so easy to use, so fast, and a little goes so far, it's thrifty.
Don't forget, it's wonderfully gentle, too.
That's right. New Quick Lux has no harmful alkali to hurt anything safe in water alone. Why not use it for all your soap and water tasks? To save cleaning bills, to save fabrics, to save your hands. It's in the same familiar Lux box, and it doesn't cost a cent more. Right now, many dealers are featuring it in their spring house cleaning sales. So don't miss this chance to stock up. We pause now for station identification. This is the Columbia Broadcasting System. The curtain rises on Act 3 of Smilin' Through. More than 4 years have passed. It's June again, June 1919. Once more there's peace in the world. But in Kathleen's heart, Only misery and despair. For 6 months, she's had no word of Kenneth Wayne. Every morning, she waits for the postman at the garden gate. Every morning, he passes the time of day with her, but leaves no letter. Now in the garden, Willie Ainley has come to call.
Kathleen, are you expecting someone?
No, why, Willie?
You've been standing by the gate all morning.
Oh, I'm sorry, Willie.
You know, I find you changed, Kathleen. I noticed it the minute I got back.
Changed how?
Oh, every way, except one. You're no nearer accepting me than you were before. Are you?
Willie, if you ask me to marry you again today, I shall... Oh, Willie.
I know. You'll slap me. Well, that'd be something. I'd rather be slapped by you than any girl I know. Shall I change the subject?
Please.
Very well. Oh, by the way, who do you suppose I saw before I came down from London?
I can't imagine who.
Kenneth Wayne.
Ken Wayne? Oh, did you?
I must say he wasn't very anxious to speak to me. Had to call him twice before he turned around.
How long ago was this, Willie?
Well, let's see. I came down the 1st, about the middle of May sometime.
Then he's been in England over a month.
At least. Why do you ask?
I was just curious.
Kathleen, I shouldn't have mentioned this, but I have to know. You're in love with him, aren't you? I'm sorry, Kathleen.
You needn't be.
Has he written to you?
No, not for months before the armistice.
Kathleen.
Willie, don't pity me. I don't want pity.
Forgive me, Kathleen. Would you rather I go?
Thank you, Willie.
Of course. Bye, Kathleen.
Ken. Oh, Ken.
All right, I think that's enough. Put your jacket on, Captain Wayne.
Thank you. Well, Doctor, what's the verdict?
Oh, just about what you told me yourself. The army surgeon did rather a good job on that leg.
You mean as good as could be done, huh?
Yes, that's about it. Of course, your nerves are all shot, but time will take care of that.
How much time?
Can't say. That will depend on you, Captain Wayne.
Yes, I know. Don't worry. Try to relax. Eat plenty of greens. Sleep 10 hours a night.
Yes, it's easy to prescribe. How much sleep do you get a night?
What do you think?
About 3.
If I'm lucky.
Well, I could give you something for that, of course.
I've had it. Every doctor in London has given me something. It's getting so it doesn't work anymore.
How long were you at the front?
I saw most of the show. I got this leg in last month.
Yes. There are a great many like you, Captain. See them every day. I might as well tell you there's very little I can do for them.
There's only one thing I really want to know, Doctor. When I came back out of this, I was going to be married. Is that... Do you think I should?
You mean, is it fair to the girl?
I'll be an invalid, won't I?
For a time.
But you won't say how long.
I can't.
Maybe years. Maybe all of my life. There's a future to offer a girl, isn't it? To spend the rest of her days waiting on an invalid?
I'm sorry.
Thank you, Doctor. You've been very kind.
Bring you, Mr. Wayne.
No. Thank you, Jane.
It's good to have you back, sir. I was worried when we didn't hear from you.
I'm sorry. I should have let you know. Did you send my note to Mr. Carteret?
Yes, sir.
Good. That's all, Jane.
Yes, sir.
Oh, by the way, don't unpack my things. I'm not staying.
Not staying, sir.
I'm leaving for America tonight.
But, Mr. Wayne, you've only just come.
Will you answer that, please, Jane?
Yes, sir. Mr. Carteret. Come in, sir. Mr. Wayne's in the drawing room.
Come in, Mr. Carteret.
Your note.
It was kind of you to come.
I'd rather come here than have you come to the house.
I'm sure of that. However, what I have to say won't take very long.
You can save your breath. You'll never marry Kathleen.
That's why I came back. To tell you that I'll never marry you.
To tell me?
I'm not going to see her. So, if you'll explain things to her, I'm sure you can. It might be better all around.
I don't understand you.
I want you to speak to her. Make her understand that I have nothing to compensate for all she'd lose.
Suppose she insists on seeing you anyway.
Well, then tell her that I'm not the same man who left here 4 years ago. That war makes changes in a man's viewpoint. It has in mine. Tell her that I don't feel as I did. She'll believe it from you.
And you no longer wish to marry her?
I've no right to marry her. Can't you see that? Look at me. You understand now?
I see that you've suffered. We all have. You've been wounded. But I'm afraid that would make no difference to Kathleen. It wouldn't matter to her.
It must matter. I've done a lot of thinking these past 4 years, especially since I was put out of the running. I'm glad that you refused to let Kathleen marry me. I'd only be a burden now.
That possibility had nothing to do with my refusal.
I know. But sometimes a mistaken motive works for good in the end. I'm not blaming you for your refusal, not anymore. You'd be something more than human if you could forget what my father did.
You know?
Yes, I know. Dr. Harding told me the whole story, and so it's better as it is. She'll realize that, too, someday.
Ken, where are you? Ken! Oh, Ken, darling, I heard you were here. Why didn't you tell me? Oh, Ken!
Kathleen.
It's all right. Would you mind leaving us, Mr. Carteret? Kathleen.
Oh, darling, I didn't believe it. I couldn't. You're back and you're alive. Oh, let me look at you. If I could stop crying for a minute, I could see you better.
Not much to look at, I'm afraid.
But you've come back. Aren't you glad to see me? You haven't said so.
Yes, of course I
Oh, it's been so long, darling, and when I didn't hear from you, I thought that... Oh, Ken, forgive me.
Well, I was going to write to you, but when I got up to London, everything seemed to break at once. I was pretty busy.
Oh, of course you were.
Then I thought I'd come down, make a few last-minute arrangements.
About what?
Oh, the house, and... You see, I'm selling it.
Selling this place? Why, Ken?
Now, Kathleen, please try to understand. I shouldn't have come back at all. I was hoping that... Well, I thought when you didn't hear from me, you'd know.
Ken, what is it? Look at me. Are you telling me that you don't love me? Is that it, Ken? Well, it's a fine spectacle I've made of myself, isn't it? Waiting here. Guess you're right. I should have known. But I guess I'm too conceited. You'll have to forgive me, Ken. I didn't mean to throw myself at your head as just a... Oh, it's so silly, so stupid.
Kathleen.
Kathleen, my dear.
Oh, Uncle John, I've been such a fool.
Don't, Kathleen. Don't, my darling.
He doesn't want me. Uncle John, why didn't you let us alone? He wanted me once. You took him away from me, just as surely as Jerry Wayne took away your Moonine Claire. And my heart's just as bitter and just as lonely.
Kathleen, do you think I haven't suffered for it? She hasn't come to me, not once, since that night.
She'll never come to you again. Never. And then you'll know how I feel now.
Do you love him that much?
I've never loved anyone so much. I never will.
Kathleen, go back to him. Tell him...
Oh, how can you say that now?
Go back in the house. I've been so wrong, my darling. He loves you, too. And he needs you so.
Uncle John.
He's sick. He's been hurt. That's why he pretended he'd forgotten you. He was trying to give you up, Kathleen.
Then it isn't true? He really wants me?
Go to him, my dear.
Who is it? You, Jane?
Ken.
Oh, I thought you'd gone.
Let me look at you, darling. Let me see you now. Oh, why didn't you tell me, darling?
Kathleen.
Did you think it would matter to me? Did you think that my love was so small that I wouldn't want to care for you and make you well again? Oh, why did you send me away, darling?
Kathleen, I may never be well. There's no telling.
Oh, but you love me. You do love me. Tell me that, Ken.
Kathleen, don't make me say it. Don't you know what it means to be tied to me all your life? No gaiety, no real happiness. Is any love strong enough for that?
Mine is. Even stronger. And my love will make you well again.
Kathleen.
Oh, my darling. My darling.
Munyin. Munyin. Why don't you come to me? I've waited so many nights here in the garden. Munyin.
John,
You're here. Oh, you've come at last. Munyin.
I've been here all the time. Only you couldn't see me because you've been so obstinate, darling. Keeping those two children apart.
You won't go away anymore. Now that I've made it right?
Never.
Why, you're in your wedding dress.
Yes.
Just as you were that night. And as beautiful, as fresh, as young, as if 50 years were only a day. But I'm old. I'm old.
I haven't the faintest idea what you're talking about.
How can you bear to look at me? I'm old. My face is all lined.
I see no lines.
My hair is white.
Why, it's as brown as it ever was.
I'm bent. I'm bent and feeble.
No, you're as straight and tall as a poplar.
You see me like that?
I see you like that.
It's a miracle.
It's love.
You've never let me ask. But tell me now, when shall we be together? Always?
Look there, John. Do you see that old man there in the chair? Do you know him?
Why,
Yes. It's you, John.
But how can I be there and... Munyin, is this what they call dying?
Yes. Isn't it glorious? And isn't it stupid to be afraid of it?
Why, who's afraid?
Some poor dears are. But they'd go smiling through the years if they knew what they'd find at the end of the road. Come, John. Come, my darling.
The curtain falls on Act 3 of Smilin' Through. Before our stars come back for their curtain calls, I'd like to speak to a special group of girls. There are nearly 1.5 million of these girls all over the country, and something very special has happened or is going to happen to them during 1940. You know what it is? They'll be married this year, and many will begin right away keeping house and washing dishes. Now, no bride wants her hands to grow rough and red and unattractive, and they needn't. With new Quick Lux, even busy hands can stay soft and smooth and lovable. These gentle flakes are so kind to hands. Yes, indeed, this has been proved by hundreds of women in a most unusual kind of test, a one-hand test. Each woman put one hand in Lux suds, the other in suds from a different soap. Now, that's absolutely fair, isn't it? And conditions were similar to home dishwashing. For instance, each woman did the test for 20 minutes, 3 times a day, average dishwashing time. Altogether, 5 leading soaps, including Lux, were tested. Well, sir, the results were amazing. Oh, Sally, will you read what Mrs. Edna Tessel of Brooklyn said about her results?
I have always used Lux for my own dishes and know how very gentle it is. But I didn't realize what a difference there was between new Quick Lux and the other soap I tested. After 19 days of the test, my Lux hand still looks smooth and white. My other hand was so red and rough that I was really embarrassed to have people see it.
Yes, the scientists conducting these tests reported they proved Lux milder than any of the other soaps tested. Proved it kindest to hands. Now, one reason New Quick Lux is so kind to your hands is that it contains absolutely no harmful alkali. I wish you'd give it your own private test in your own dishpan. Try it for a week, and I don't think you will ever change. Your grocer has New Quick Lux in the same familiar box at no extra cost. Now, Mr. DeMille is bringing our stars to the microphone.
Although Barbara Stanwyck and Robert Taylor are neither of them strangers here, tonight they're taking their first curtain call together on our stage.
Thank you, C.B. Barbara and I have been looking forward to doing this play for quite a while.
Smiling Through has always been a favorite of mine, Mr. DeMille, and
with Bob Taylor at the same microphone, it was a perfect performance for all of us.
You know, I hate to bring in a note of complaint, C.B., but I happen to be a committee of one.
Oh, nothing to do with the play. It's, well, Bob, tell him.
Yes, you can't turn my hair any grayer.
It's about your attendance at the Hollywood ballpark since the season opened. The directors are complaining. Don't you like baseball anymore?
It's still my principal vice, Bob, but I haven't had time to indulge it lately. There's a play a week to produce in the Lux Radio Theater. And over at Paramount, the little matter of a motion picture called Northwest Mounted Police.
I don't call it little. I saw 500 Indians the other day.
500 Indians? Well, bring them along.
I'd like to, Bob, but I don't believe the umpires would appreciate it.
Well, in the meantime, keep your fingers crossed for the rest of us stockholders. We may have a pennant winner in the Hollywood Stars. We hope. But to get back to the Lux Radio Theater, what's the play next week?
Next Monday night, we're going to present another Pulitzer Prize winner and Broadway hit. Thornton Wilder's play, Our Town. Saul Lesser has just given this play a fine motion picture production to be released within a few weeks. But next week, we'll do it with the original cast of the picture before you see it on the screen. And here are the stars we'll have. William Holden, Martha Scott, Fay Bainter, Beulah Bondi, Thomas Mitchell, Guy Kibbe, Stuart Irwin, and in the famous role he created on the stage, Frank Craven. Our Town has something of the story of your town and every town in America. Headed by a cast of 8 stars from the picture, we'll bring you this stirring human drama next Monday night.
And next Monday night, we'll be listening at home, C.B. Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night. We're starting right now to find you two another play. Our sponsors, the makers of Lux Flakes, join me in inviting you to be with us again next Monday night when the Lux Radio Theater presents William Holden, Martha Scott, Fay Bainter, Beulah Bondi, Thomas Mitchell, Guy Kibbe, Stuart Irwin, and Frank Craven, the original motion picture cast in Our Town. This is Cecil B. DeMille saying good night to you from Hollywood.
Heard in tonight's play were Eric Snowden as Dr. Owen, Frank Martin as Willie Ainley, Julie Bannon as Mary, Lou Merrill as Doctor, Christina Wayne as Jane, and James Eagles as Jimmy. Robert Taylor stars in the MGM picture Waterloo Bridge, soon to be released. Barbara Stanwyck's current picture is Paramount's Remember the Night. The play Smilin' Through was written by Jane Cowell and Jane Murfin. Our music was directed by Louis Silvers, and your announcer has been Melville Ruick. This is the Columbia Broadcasting System.
From Hollywood, California, the Lux Radio Theater presents Joan Crawford and Basil Rathbun in A Doll's House.
Lux presents Hollywood. It's your purchases of our products, Lux Toilet Soap and Lux Flakes, ladies and gentlemen, that make this program possible. For the splendid loyalty you show us, our sincere gratitude. Last week, we announced an offer of a beautiful compact. So many of the ladies in our audience have taken advantage of this offer that we are making it again tonight at the end of our program. So please listen carefully and have your pencils ready. Starred tonight are Joan Crawford, Basil Rathbun, Sam Jaffe, Netta Harrigan, and Vernon Steele in A Doll's House, As special guest, Miss Frances Manson, head of the story department of Samuel Goldwyn Productions. Our orchestra is conducted by Louis Silvers. And now, the producer of the Lux Radio Theater. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Cecil B. DeMille. Greetings from Hollywood, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight's play is the work of one of the loneliest figures in literature, Henrik Ibsen. Poverty-stricken as a boy, Ibsen exiled himself for many years from his native Norway because of the lukewarm reception that country gave his plays. First produced many years ago, A Doll's House provoked a storm of angry criticism because the playwright dared express the belief that a happy marriage must have a foundation of truth, freedom, and intellectual companionship. Like all masterpieces, A Doll's House has a deathless quality and has brought fame to a score of world-renowned actresses, to which list we add tonight the name of Joan Crawford. And no one is less conscious of her success than Joan herself. She tackles each new job with the same I've got to make good attitude that she had when she first arrived here, fresh from a Schubert chorus. A Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer star, Joan is seen next in The Shining Hour and is heard tonight as Nora Helmer. Co-starred as Torvald Helmer, a part more sympathetic than his usual roles, is that master of glistening villainy, Basil Rathbone. One of Hollywood's more gentle and considerate citizens off the screen. This splendid actor is currently flaunting his darksome deviltry in The Adventures of Robin Hood and is with us this week straight from the set of Paramount's If I Were King. Sam Jaffe, who gave such a remarkable performance of the ancient llama in Lost Horizon, plays Krogstad, the same role which brought him unstinted praise when A Doll's House played on Broadway this season. Netta Harrigan plays Mrs. Linden, and Vernon Steele is Dr. Ronk. And now, the Lux Radio Theater presents Joan Crawford and Basil Rathbone in A Doll's House. The year is 1890. We're in a little town in Norway on a gray September afternoon. Along the windy street in a quiet section of the city, a young woman walks hurriedly, her long dress whipping out behind her, her face half buried in an old-fashioned muff. She glances frequently over her shoulder, as if to assure herself that she's not been noticed. Then she stops, and after a final nervous glance, darts quickly into a doorway.
Well?
It's I, Mrs. Helmer.
Oh. Come in, please. Sit down, Mrs. Helmer.
Thank you.
Wasn't it a little indiscreet of you? To come here, I mean.
Oh, I was very careful, Mr. Krogstad. I'm quite sure no one saw me.
I hope not.
Did you think it over, Mr. Krogstad? The matter we spoke of yesterday?
Yes. The lending of money, Mrs. Helmer, is a serious business.
Oh, I know it is.
It's even more serious when the loan is to be made to a wife without the consent or even knowledge of her husband.
Oh, but he mustn't know. He mustn't even dream that I've borrowed the money. That's why I came to you. You've known him at the bank.
Yes, at the bank and at school. But we were never very friendly.
Well, you worked with him. You must know how he feels about being in debt. He has a dread of it, Mr. Krogstad. He thinks debts are immoral, almost criminal. He'd never allow me to owe the butcher or the baker a single krona.
And now you wish to borrow a great many kronas.
Because he needs it. Oh, you know how ill he's been. And now the doctors say that he must go away to rest. A long rest in Italy. And if he doesn't go, he'll never be well again. I want to save my husband's life, Mr. Krogstad.
Mrs. Helmer, I wish I could help you.
Does that mean you won't? Oh, but I'll pay it back. I promise I will. I'll save and I could make money other ways. I'm very clever at copying.
Mrs. Helmer, is there anyone you could get to sponsor the loan?
Sponsor it?
To sign the note with you and act as surety. I mean a man, of course.
Well, I don't know. There's no one I'd like to ask for fear Torvald would find out.
Well, you have a father living.
My father, oh, would he do?
If he'd signed the note with you, yeah.
Oh, then he will. I'm sure he will.
Very well.
Oh, thank you.
Now, here is the note.
Yes?
When you come back to me with the note signed by you here and your father's signature down here, I'll let you have the money.
Oh, how wonderful. It really isn't difficult at all, is it? Oh, I almost wish Torvald could know. Then perhaps he'd see how clever I really am. Oh, but he mustn't. All he must know is that we have money from somewhere and that we're going away to Italy.
Nora, come and sit down. Don't tire yourself out dancing like that. Now, sit down, Nora, please.
Oh, Torvald, isn't it wonderful? I feel as if I belonged here, as if I'd lived in Italy all my life. Oh, and now I've learned to dance the tarantella.
Yes, and you dance it beautifully, Nora.
Oh, it's so easy to dance here, where your heart is light. Aren't you glad I teased you until you brought me?
Very glad.
Oh, and the rest has been good for you, Torvald. So good.
Oh, nonsense. I never needed a rest.
Oh, no, of course you didn't. It was just for me, and I love you for it.
Well, you can hardly thank me. I could never afford a trip like this. It was strange, your father leaving you that money.
Strange, Torvald?
I always thought he was rather improvident. I was sure that he'd die quite penniless.
Well, he must have had some put away.
Yes. Nevertheless, it's almost gone, my dear. We'll have to be leaving for home soon.
Oh, I know. But I'm so anxious to see the children again. Ellen, you can put these flowers in water.
Oh, flowers too, ma'am.
Oh, yes, Ellen, and so awfully expensive. Oh, did the Christmas tree come yet?
Yes, ma'am. I put it in the kitchen so the children wouldn't see it.
Is that you, Nora?
Oh, Torvald, I'm so glad you're home. Come and see all the presents I have. Look, Torvald.
You mean to say you've bought all these?
Oh, just a few little things for the children and Ellen and Anna and Dr. Ronk and...
I suppose you spent every penny I gave you.
Oh, no, I did have some left, and then I saw those heavenly roses.
Oh, but that's so extravagant.
Oh, I know, Torvald, I know, but I just couldn't resist.
And what did you buy for yourself?
Oh, I don't need anything.
Nonsense. Tell me, what'd you like? Something useful, something sensible.
Well... If you really do want to give me something, you could give me money.
Now, Nora.
Oh, and then I could buy myself something, just what I needed.
But there's no Christmas spirit about cold, hard money.
Oh, yes, there is.
But you're so extravagant, Nora. On that trip to Italy last winter, we simply can't afford to go on throwing money about, you know.
Oh, but you'll be making lots of money now, and we could always get a little credit.
Credit? Nora, have you ever known me to borrow money?
No, but it ought to be easy enough now.
I want no creditors in my life, thank you. We've held out all these years without ever owing anyone a penny, and we're certainly not going to begin now at the last minute.
Yes, darling. Of course, you know best.
At the same time, we're not exactly paupers. Look, what do you think I've got here?
Oh, Torvald, money? Oh, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50.
Here, give that
back.
back.
Oh, Torvald, darling, thank you. This will go a long way.
I should hope so. No one would believe how much it costs a man to keep a little thing like you.
A lady to see you, Mrs. Helmer.
A lady? Well, ask her to come in, Ellen.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, I must get back to the bank for a while.
Goodbye, darling. Come home early tonight.
I'll try.
This way, please.
Who is it, Ellen?
Oh. Nora.
How are you? You don't remember me, do you? No, I don't think I... Why, yes, Christina. Is it really you?
It really is.
Christina. And to think I didn't even know you, but you're so changed.
Yes, I guess I am in 9 or 10 years.
Oh, good heavens, has it been as long as that? But what are you doing in town?
I arrived on the morning boat.
Oh, yes, to spend Christmas. How wonderful. Oh, what a thoughtless wretch I am. Oh, darling, how can you forgive me?
Forgive you?
Oh, Christina, I forgot that your husband...
Yes, my husband died 3 years ago.
Yes, I saw it in the papers, but, well, you know how it is. Did he leave you anything?
Nothing.
Not even any children?
No.
Nothing? Not anything?
Not even a regret.
Darling, you must tell me the whole story. I never would have dreamed it. It must have been awful. And to be absolutely alone afterwards. Oh, you know, I have two of the sweetest children. Just wait till you see them. They're out with their nurse now, so there's nothing to disturb us, and you can tell me all about it.
No, dear. You tell me.
No, really, darling, I won't be selfish today. But I must tell you one thing. Have you heard of our wonderful luck?
No, what is it?
My husband has been appointed manager of the savings bank.
He has? Oh, how splendid.
It is. Oh, Christina, can you imagine how it makes you feel to have lots of money? Not only what you need, but just heaps of money.
Oh, Nora. Nora, you haven't changed a bit. You're still the same old spendthrift.
Oh, don't be ridiculous. I've had to work.
You work? Oh, but why?
Well, Torvald was ill, you know, and of course you mustn't tell Christina.
Tell what?
Well, we needed money, and of course we didn't have any, so I went... So Torvald thinks we inherited the money from my father.
Nora, wasn't it a little rash of you?
But it saved his life.
But won't you tell him?
Oh, after a great many years, perhaps, when I'm not so young. Oh, don't laugh, Christina. I mean when Torvald isn't so much in love with me. When it isn't fun for him any longer to see me skipping about and dressing up and acting. Well, then it might be good to have something in reserve.
Oh.
Now, what about you? What are you going to do, Christina?
Oh, I wish I knew, my dear. I'll have to find work, I suppose. I was wondering a while ago, Nora, if...
What, Christina?
Well, with your husband a bank official...
You mean he might be able to do something for you?
Well, I was hoping...
Oh, darling, that's a wonderful idea.
Nora, do you really suppose...
Oh, just you leave it all to me. I'll give you a note to him, and you go to the bank and see him. Oh, I know he'll give you the position if I ask.
Nora, you don't know how much this means to me.
Poor Christina. I'll write the note at once.
Let me go first. No, I want to see Mama. Ellen, make him let me. Where's Mama, Ellen?
Children, come in, darlings. Mama's here.
Mama, he threw a snowball and hit me. I did not. I hit him back.
Oh, my baby. Such cheeks. Darling, you've been out for hours. Aren't you frozen?
I'm warm. I saw a dog, Mama. He ran after a man and he growled. I saw the dog, too.
Oh, did you, my sweet?
And the man picked up a stick and the dog ran around biting people.
Really? Oh, I know he didn't bite you, though, did he, darling?
I'd like a dog.
I'll just take their coats, ma'am.
Oh, yes, Ellen.
Can we play now, Mama?
Of course, darling. Any single thing you want is Christmas Eve.
I want to play Blind Man's Buff.
Blind Man's Buff? All right, now you know what you do first.
I know, Mama.
Oh.
It's a man, Mama.
What do you want, Mr. Crookshank?
You see, the door was open, and I thought...
My husband's not at home, Mr. Crookshank.
Yes, I know.
Children, go to Ellen.
Come on, Emmy. Wait for me.
What did you come here for? It isn't the first of the month, Mr. Crookshank.
It isn't that. I wanted to ask you something. An hour ago at the bank, a lady asked to see Mr. Helmer. She said she had a note from you.
Well?
Would you mind telling me if that lady was a Mrs. Linden?
Yes. Do you know her?
I haven't seen her for a great many years. Naturally, I was surprised when I heard her inquire for your husband.
It isn't surprising. She's going to be given a position at the bank.
She is?
Why, yes.
But how?
Well, you see, sometimes a little influence with the right people, Mr. Cook.
You mean you had something to do with it?
Well, naturally, I did what I could for my friend. Why?
Come now, Mrs. Helmer. You know very well whose job it is your friend is getting.
What are you talking about?
So I'm just to be thrown out, am I?
What?
Oh, you needn't pretend you didn't know.
How dare you talk like that to me? I didn't know. My husband doesn't tell me his business.
Mrs. Helmer, I must ask you to use your influence for me.
But I have no influence whatever.
But you just said you had, Mrs.
That's
Helmer.
quite different. If someone is to be hired, and if Mrs. Linden is capable, being an old friend of mine might help with my husband. But this is different. Do you expect me to be able to tell my husband what to do? I'm truly sorry for you.
Miss Helmer, I don't want your pity. I want your help. You really can't refuse me.
You're trying to frighten me, but I'm not afraid of you anymore. In a little while, I'll have paid off the note, and I'll be through with the whole business.
Please listen to me, Mrs. Helmer. Try to understand that it's vital for me to keep my job at the bank.
I'm sorry, but really, I'm quite helpless.
I tell you, I've got to keep it, that's all. I've got children, and they're growing up. They need to have a father who's able to hold up his head in a respectable position. I tell you, my job at the bank is the only chance I've got to get anywhere.
I'm sorry, but I just can't listen.
You've got to listen.
Mr. Krogstad, you're threatening me.
I don't care what you call it.
Would you tell my husband I owe you money?
I don't know.
Why, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. When it's all my own secret and I'm so proud of it. Why, if he heard about it that way, there's no telling how unpleasant it would be.
Unpleasant? Mrs. Helmer, I'm afraid there are some things you don't understand very well. Let me make them clearer for you.
You needn't bother.
When your husband was ill, you came to me to borrow a sum of money. I promised to find you the money in exchange for a written agreement which I drew up. Your father was to sign this agreement.
Was to? He did sign it.
Did he, Mrs. Helmer?
Well, you know he did. Anyway, haven't I made my payments on time?
Mrs. Helmer, your father was very ill, wasn't he?
Yes, he was on his deathbed.
Tell me, Mrs. Helmer, do you happen to remember the day he died? The day of the month, I mean.
It was the 29th of September.
Ah, that's correct. But you see, I made a little investigation for myself, and I discovered a rather remarkable fact, which I can't quite explain.
What remarkable fact?
The remarkable fact is, or seems to be, that your father signed this paper 3 days after his death.
I don't understand.
Well, neither do I, Mrs. Helmer. Here your father dies on the 29th of September, and here he signs his name on October the 2nd. There's the date, don't you see? Now, isn't that remarkable? Perhaps you can explain it. Your father really did write his name here himself, didn't he?
No. No, I wrote it.
Do you realize what you're admitting? That was a very dangerous thing to do, Mrs. Helmer.
But why? You'll have your last payment in a few days.
Mrs. Helmer, you really don't seem to understand what you've done. Do you know, Mrs. Helmer, that I did something just about like that once, and it ruined me?
You mean you took a risk to save someone's life?
The law, Mrs. Helmer, takes no account of motives.
Then the law must be very bad.
Bad or not, if I take this paper to court, the law will condemn you exactly as it did me.
I don't believe it. As if I didn't have the right to save my father from worry when he was dying. As if anyone should tell me that I hadn't the right to save my husband's life. I don't know very much about law, and I don't want to if that's the way it is. But I'm certain they'd let you do that. Why, the idea of not knowing they would when you're a lawyer. You must be a very poor one.
Maybe I am. But I do understand something about this business you and I are in together. And now, Mrs. Helmer, you can do exactly as you please. But let me tell you this one thing. If I'm thrown off into the mud again, there'll be others to keep me company.
I must go, Torvald.
No, not yet. It's Christmas Eve.
Well, I don't hear Nora persuading me.
Oh, what? Oh, yes, please say, Dr. Rowan.
No. I have patients waiting for me in the morning. People are as sick on Christmas Day as any other day.
Then you must come again tomorrow.
I will, if I'm still alive.
Oh, what a way for a doctor to talk.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night, Doctor.
Well, I still have a little work to do before bed.
Oh, no, Torvald. I want you to talk with me.
Now, what would that be about? By the way, was anyone here this afternoon?
No, just Christina. You gave her the position, Torvald.
Oh, yes. Yes, but when I came home, I thought I saw Krogstad leaving the house.
Krogstad? Well, he really was here, but just for a minute.
Nora.
Well, it was just for a minute.
Nora, look at me. I'm very, very much surprised. Krogstad has been asking you to put in a good word for him, hasn't he?
Are you going to be angry with me?
And you were supposed to do it just as if you'd thought of it yourself.
Well, yes, but I...
No, Nora. And you could stoop to that, to speak to such a man, to make a promise and then to lie about it, to me. Now, you won't do that again, will you, dear? Will you? Well, we won't say any more about it.
Torvald, tell me, was it really something awful this Krogstad got into trouble over?
Oh, forgery, that's all. You know what that means.
But don't you think he might have been forced to do it?
Perhaps. And I'm not so hard-hearted as to condemn a man for a single slip.
Oh, no, of course not.
And a man can redeem his character if he admits his crime and takes his punishment.
Crime?
But Krogstad didn't. He dodged and used all kinds of tricks. He was disbarred, of course, but he should have been sent to jail.
But don't you think he had responsibilities, children? After all, he might have done it for their sake.
Yeah, that's the worst of it. It's like a poison, especially for the children.
How do you mean?
Oh, I've seen it time and time again. It's really amazing to see how criminal tendencies in children can be traced to lying parents. This Krogstad has been contaminating his children for years.
But how?
Oh, by his life of lies and deceit, of course. They're all drawn into it with him. Sad, isn't it? I can sympathize with you when you feel sorry for him. But you'll promise not to say any more about it. Hmm? Well, I'm going to my study. I won't be long.
Oh, dear God.
Mrs. Helmer, the children want to come and say good night.
What?
The children. Shall I bring them in to you?
No. No, not now, Ellen.
So ends the first act of A Doll's House, starring Joan Crawford and Basil Rathbone. Before they return in the second act, we want to present to you in verse our own version of a few historical love affairs. We must admit we've improved on history a little, which is just another way of saying that you'll find our verse historically inaccurate. Anyway, we think you'll find it amusing. Our first subject is the devastating Helen of Troy.
Greek Helen of Troy had a way with a boy that caused the upheaval of nations. To buy her a cloak, Menelaus went broke, and an army went short on its rations. But her jewels counted not, her robes were but aught we've learned from historical data. We'll give you the dope. She used Lux toilet soap, and her face was what launched the regatta.
We jump now to colonial times and to the comely maiden, Priscilla.
Priscilla was fair and had smoothly brushed hair when John came to woo her for Standish. But she wanted John with no pro or con. Why, the idea of Miles was outlandish. She got her own way, and her confidence lay not in clothes so demure and colonial. It's easy. Why, shucks. It's because she used Lux. It's a passport to things matrimonial.
And now we come to Miss 1938, in whom we're all most interested.
The girl of today wears a suit and beret. She ponders on color selection. But though fashions vary, they are still secondary compared with a lovely complexion. And she knows it still pays, as it did in past days, to keep her skin clear and attractive. And, of course, if she's clever, she'll do it forever with Lux, for its lather is active.
The famous beauties of history understood the relation between lovely skin and romance. The famous beauties of our own day, the lovely stars of Hollywood, understand it, too. 9 out of 10 of them used Lux toilet soap to protect their beauty. Its active lather removes dust, dirt, and stale cosmetics thoroughly. Guards against choked pores that cause cosmetic skin, dullness, tiny blemishes, enlarged pores. Protect the loveliness of your skin the easy Hollywood way. Use Lux toilet soap before you renew makeup, always before you go to bed. May I remind you that an important announcement comes at the end of our performance tonight. I suggest that the ladies have pencil and paper ready. Now, our producer.
Joan Crawford and Basil Rathbone continue in A Doll's House with Sam Jaffe and Netta Harrigan. Christmas Day finds Nora in a state close to hysteria. Under the influence of her husband's stern philosophy, she's fearful of contaminating her children with her presence. And so she's not seen them for almost 24 hours. Now, late in the afternoon, she knocks timidly at the door of her husband's study.
Come in. Well, Nora?
Am I disturbing you, Torvald?
Oh, well, just a little, but, what do you want, dear?
Torvald, if I were to ask you for something, to beg you for something very prettily, would you do it?
Nora, you can't mean what you were hinting at yesterday.
Oh, yes, for my sake, Torvald, you must let Krogstad keep his place in the bank.
My dear Nora, it's his place that I'm giving to your friend, Mrs. Linden.
Oh, yes, darling, and that's so good of you, but instead of Krogstad, couldn't you just dismiss some other clerk?
Dismiss some other clerk? What's the matter with you, Nora? Just because you were impulsive enough to promise to put in a good word for him, I'm to...
No, it's not that. It's not that I said anything to him, but it's for your own sake, Torvald. I'm so terribly afraid of him.
Why?
Well, I hear he's rather malicious, and there's no telling what he might say. That's why I beg you.
Yes, and the more you plead for him, the more you make it impossible for me to keep him on.
Oh, darling, please.
Now, there's no use going any further with this. The matter's closed. I've just sent a messenger out with a letter.
What letter?
Krogstad's dismissal.
Oh, call it back again, Torvald. There's still time for my sake, for your own. Oh, listen, please, Torvald. You don't know what might happen because of it.
Now, come, Nora. What do you expect me to do? Worry about being slandered or blackmailed by a wretched fellow like Krogstad? Really? I can forgive you only because I know it's proof of your love for me. And that's as it should be. Let what will happen when it comes to the pinch. I think you'll find my shoulders are broad enough to bear the burden.
No, you'll never do that. I won't let you.
Well, we'll do it together then. We'll share it. Man and wife. How would you like that? Now. Stop worrying. It's just your imagination. I'll tell you what. Take your tambourine and practice your tarantella.
Tarantella?
Yes. You're going to dance it at the Stenberg's party tonight. You haven't forgotten, have you?
No, I remember.
Oh, Mrs. Helmer.
Is Dr. Rank here?
Why, yes, come in.
Come in, Nora.
Thank you.
Well, sit down, Nora. I was just about to leave for your house.
Dr. Rank, there's something I want to ask you. I'm not disturbing you, am I?
I always have time for you, Nora. I always will have. Just as long as I'm able.
As long as... What does that mean?
Does that frighten you?
Well, I think it's an odd expression, isn't it? Do you expect anything to happen?
Oh, something that's no surprise.
Is there something you've really discovered?
I've been auditing my life account, Nora.
Oh, you've discovered something about yourself.
Yes, and it looks as if I'm bankrupt. Before very long, my poor carcass will be rotting in the churchyard.
Oh, what a dreadful way to talk.
Dreadful? Well, it's a dreadful business. There's one final test to be made, and then we'll know exactly when disintegration sets in.
Oh, Dr. Rank.
As soon as I'm certain of the worst, I'll send you my visiting card, and then you'll know that really serious things have begun.
I won't listen. You know you're exaggerating. You just like to talk this way. You mustn't think of dying and leaving Torvald and me. You're our oldest friend.
Oh, you will get over it. The absent are soon forgotten.
Do you think so?
People make fresh ties. Although I do hate to leave it all.
Oh, nonsense. You shan't leave us.
And without leaving behind as much as a little token of gratitude. Nothing but some space. The first person that comes along can fill that.
And just suppose if I were to ask you for...
For what?
For a great proof of your friendship. For a very, very great service.
Would you, for once, make me so happy?
Oh, but you don't know what it is.
Then tell me. Don't you trust me?
Oh, I do, Dr. Rank. It's something you must help me prevent. You know how really deeply Torvald loves me. He wouldn't hesitate a moment to give his very life for me.
Nora, do you think he's the only one?
What do you mean?
Who'd gladly give his life for you?
Oh.
I wanted to say it to you once, before I go away. I'll never find a better moment. Well, I've told you. Now you know you can trust me as you can trust no one else.
Dr. Rank.
Well?
How could you be so... Why did you say that? It was all so nice before.
Nora,
I
please.
can't tell you anything now.
You mustn't punish me, not that way. Let me help
No,
you, Nora.
you can't do anything for me now. Besides, it's not... Oh, I really don't want any help. I have to leave now. Goodbye, Dr. Rank.
Oh, I'm glad you've come home, Ma'am. There's a man here to see you. Mr. Krogstad.
Here? Ellen, where's Mr. Helmer?
He's out, ma'am. Gone over to fetch Dr. Rank.
Oh.
Mr. Krogstad's in the library, ma'am.
Thank you, Ellen. What do you want here?
I want some information, Mrs. Helmer.
Be quick, then. What is it?
You know I've been dismissed.
I couldn't prevent it, Mr. Krogstad. I fought and I stood up for you, but it wasn't any use.
Oh. Is that all he cares for?
Oh, please, you won't tell. Think of my children.
Why should I? Did you and your husband think of mine? However, I've come to tell you that you needn't take this matter too seriously. I'm not going to use this information I've got. Not for the present, anyway.
Oh, Mr. Krogstad, I knew you wouldn't.
In fact, no one need know. It can remain just between us three.
Oh, no. My husband must never know.
Why? Are you ready to pay off the balance?
Well, no, not at the moment, but it won't be long before it's all paid.
No. I'm going to hold on to that note.
Why? What would you do with it?
Just keep it, Mrs. Helmer. Don't worry. No one else will ever know anything about it. So that if you had any desperate scheme in mind, put it right out of your head. We all think such things at first. I did too, Mrs. Helmer. But I didn't have the courage.
Nor I.
No, you wouldn't have the courage either. Would you, Mrs. Helmer? It would be very foolish. Very, very foolish. Now, I've written a letter to your husband.
To my husband?
Sparing you as much as
But he
possible.
must never see it. Tear the letter up. I'll get the money somehow.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Helmer, but I think I've told you I don't want it.
Well, then what do you want?
I'll tell you what I want. I want to regain my foothold in the world. I want to get back to where I belong. I want to rise. And your husband shall help me.
No, he won't.
He will. I know him, Mrs. Helmer. He won't dare put up a fight. And when he and I are together there, you'll see. Yes, within a year, I shall be his right-hand man. It won't be Torvald Helmer. It'll be Niels Krogstad who runs the bank.
No.
No? Who will stop me?
Somebody who has the courage.
Oh, you can't frighten me. A petted, pampered creature like you.
Oh, you'll see. You'll see.
Under the ice, perhaps? Down in the cold, black water? The next spring to come up again ugly? Unrecognizable? No. People don't do that sort of thing, Mrs. Helmer. And anyway, what will be the use of it? I've got your husband in my pocket, no matter what you do.
Not after I'm gone. Not after
You forget. Your reputation is in my hands. You can think of that when you're planning to do something foolish. I'll drop this letter in the mailbox on my way out.
No, please.
I expect to hear from your husband very soon.
Oh, Christina.
What are you doing, my dear?
I'm trying to get the mailbox open.
But where's the key?
I haven't one. Christina, look. There's a letter in there, and it's from Krogstad.
Krogstad?
Yes, and now Torvald will know everything.
Oh, believe me, dear. It will really be best for both of you.
Oh, but you don't understand. I forged a name. I forged Papa's name.
Nora.
Listen, Christina. You must witness.
What is there to witness?
If anything should happen, if I should go out of my mind, if anything should happen so that I wouldn't be here.
Nora, you've lost control of yourself.
If anyone else should try to take the whole blame on himself, you are my witness that it was all my doing. No one else knew anything about it.
Nora.
Oh, I'm not out of my mind, Christina. I know what I'm saying. I did the whole thing. You will remember, won't you?
Of course I'll remember, but I don't know what you mean.
Oh, no. No, how could you? Because a very wonderful thing is going to happen. A miracle is going to come.
Miracle?
Yes, a very wonderful thing. But it's so terrible, too, Christina. Oh, it mustn't happen.
Don't, dear. I shall go to Krogstad right now and talk to him.
You? What can you do?
In the old days, he would have done anything for me.
Krogstad?
I knew him very well.
Nonsense. You must come tonight.
No, I'd better not.
Oh, listen.
But everyone will
It's
be there.
Torvald and Dr. Rank. They're coming up the stairs. Torvald mustn't see
Go
me.
inside. I'll try to find
What in
Krogstad.
heaven's name are
Don't
you
give up
talking
hope,
about?
Nora.
A miracle. It must happen. Oh, it must.
Come in, Rank. And I still say you're quite mad.
Perhaps.
Well, Nora, home again?
Yes. How do you do, Dr. Rank?
Good evening, Nora.
Oh, what's the matter with you, Nora? You're quite upset. Have you been practicing too hard?
No, I haven't practiced at all yet.
But you'll have to.
Oh, yes, I must. I must practice a great deal. But, Torvald, I can't without you. I know I've forgotten everything.
Oh, well, when you've worked on it, it'll come back to you. Sit down, Rank.
Where are you going, Torvald?
Just have a look at the mailbox.
Oh, no, don't do that.
Oh, why not?
Torvald, I'm sure there are no letters there.
Well, just let me look
Oh,
at
no,
it.
if you don't rehearse with me, I won't be able to dance tonight.
What? You're really as nervous as all that about it?
Terribly, Torvald. Let's rehearse now. There's time before dinner. Sit down and play for me, and you can direct me. You know the way you used to do.
All right. What a creature.
Play, Torvald, play.
Slower.
I can't do it any slower.
Not so violently, Nora.
But I must.
Oh, Nora, that will never do.
Oh, Torvald, please. I told you I needed to practice.
Let me play for her. Perhaps we can do it slower.
Oh, yes, please. Now, look, Torvald, sit here, and then you can watch me.
All right. Now try to calm yourself.
Yes, darling, I will. How's this, Torvald? Is it better?
Nora, there's no need to dance as though it were a matter of life and death. Right, stop. This is all out of control. Stop, I say. Nora, I don't see how you could have forgotten everything that way.
But I told you I had. Oh, Torvald, you must practice with me right up to the last minute. Promise, Torvald.
Well, certainly, if you wish.
Well, you're to think of nothing but me. Not a letter, not a paper. You mustn't even look at the mailbox until after the party.
Very well, my dear. But you seem so overwrought. Now, let's all go in and we'll have dinner and then we can practice again later.
Thank you, Torvald.
Come along, Rock.
Thanks.
7 o'clock. 5 hours until midnight. And the tarantella will be over. 5 hours to live.
Nora, are you coming?
Coming, Torvald?
We pause for station identification. This is the Columbia Broadcasting System. Curtain falls on Act 2 of A Doll's House. Before we hear Joan Crawford and Basil Rathbun in Act 3, we spend this brief intermission with another personality from backstage Hollywood, Frances Manson, chief story editor of Samuel Goldwyn Productions. Miss Manson came here from Columbia University, where she taught short story writing and advertising. Today, she's one of that highly important group who, seeking for good motion picture stories, wade through the vast mass of material turned out by the world's authors. And now, Miss Manson, what's your story?
A complaint, Mr. DeMille. We've had a very definite lack of story material. If good stories were only half as plentiful around Hollywood as Lux soap, I'd be a lot happier. There's a cake of Lux in practically every dressing room in Hollywood, but there are only about 10 good motion picture ideas in every 1,100 stories. In spite of the fact that about half the letters that come to producers are from people claiming they have great ideas for film stories, we're still screaming for new material. Many of these unsolicited stories may be great, but every unknown writer who sends us one is certain of receiving it back promptly and unopened.
We can't give them a chance because we can't take a chance.
That's it. A lot of people think we're just waiting for the opportunity to steal their ideas. Obviously, that isn't true, and here's a typical example. We received a letter from a man who said, I have a great idea for Gary Cooper. Make him a cowboy in his next picture and let him fall in love with a society girl. Please send me a check for $1,000 immediately as I am going on my vacation next Tuesday.
I assume he went on his vacation without your assistance.
Right. You know as well as I do, Mr. DeMille, that such a vague suggestion doesn't mean very much. An idea like that is so obvious that it had already occurred dozens of times to writers at the studio and hundreds of times to people outside the studio. As a matter of fact, in reference to this particular case, Mr. Goldwyn had already started work on a picture called The Lady and the Cowboy with Gary Cooper and Merrill Oberon. Imagine how embarrassing it would be if we read every manuscript we received. Without a doubt, a manuscript would be bound to contain an episode somewhere in it that might slightly resemble part of our movie script. And human nature being what it is, we would never convince the would-be author that we had not stolen his play and changed it around to suit ourselves. The safest plan for all concerned is the one we follow, namely not to open any manuscript which comes in unsolicited. This is the firmest rule in Hollywood.
Then what outlets are open to the would-be screenwriter, Miss Manson?
My advice is this. Prove your ability first, write for the magazines, for the book publishers, or the play producers, and we'll grab you without further delay. In other words, if you want to write for Hollywood, don't write for Hollywood until we ask you.
Well, what do you think of the ones we've already asked?
As a rule, the important screenwriters are quite as temperamental as actors. But at times you can't blame them because the producers they work for are temperamental too.
Heresy, Miss Manson. That requires explanation.
I can recall one producer who summoned in his writers and said he wanted the scope of the story to be much bigger. This isn't big enough, he said. I want it to be great. I want it to be infinitesimal. And the producer was not Mr. Goldwyn. Then there's the producer who reluctantly agreed to read a certain writer's story. All right, he said, I'll read it with an open mind, but I may as well warn you, I think it's terrible.
But writers, in turn, are often something of a problem to producers. For instance, Robert Riskin has to write every line of a screenplay in longhand. S.K. Lauren has to go away and do his creating in a shack. Joe Swirling will spend weeks at wood carving and not write a single line, then suddenly appear, call for a dictaphone, and give forth a complete shooting script without having put a word down on paper.
Still, in my opinion, the screenwriter is entitled to every bit of individuality he cares to assert. The fact remains that he delivers the goods and contributes what, to me, is the most important phase of pictures, the story. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Manston. Act 3 of A Doll's House, starring Joan Crawford and Basil Rathbone with Sam Jaffe and Netta Harrigan. Later the same night, with Christina gone to use her influence with Krogstad, Nora dances at the party. Faster and faster she whirls about the room, her cheeks 2 spots of crimson, her eyes burning, and then the tarantella ends.
Nora, come here.
Oh, Torval, did I dance well?
You were magnificent, my dear. You remembered everything I told you. Come now. We must go home.
Oh, no, not yet, darling. Just a little longer.
But it's late, Nora, and you're tired.
Yes. Yes, I am tired.
Come along, dear. We'll say good night. So slowly, Nora. Let me help you.
I'm even more tired than I thought.
There we are. You see, I was perfectly right not to let you stay any longer.
Yes, darling. Everything you do is right. Torval, what are you doing?
I want to clear out the mailbox.
So late, Torval. Won't tomorrow do?
Look at all the letters that have collected. Why? What's this?
What?
Dr. Rank's visiting card. It was right on top. He must have just put it in tonight. I wonder what this means.
What is it?
This black cross over his name. What a ghastly idea. You'd think he was announcing his own death.
He is.
What? How do you know? Has he told you something?
That card is his farewell. He's going to shut himself up alone and die.
Oh, poor old Rank. Of course, I knew we couldn't hope to keep him long, but so soon. And to go off alone, like a wounded animal.
When one goes, it's best to go silently, don't you think?
I just can't realize that he's gone. He'd grown into our lives so. Oh, well, perhaps it's for the best, at least for him. And for us, too, because now we have to depend entirely on each other. Go in, dear. Oh, it's a relief to be home again. Come here, Nora, you enchanting creature.
Torval, don't, please.
Why not? Oh, I know what it is. You have the tarantella still in your blood, and it makes you all the more tempting.
Read your letters, Torval.
Oh, but a moment ago, you asked me to wait. Oh, my darling, I can't hold you close enough. You know, I wish sometimes that you were in some great trouble, so that I could do something really marvelous for you, risk my body and soul, everything.
Please, you must read your letters, Torval.
What an insistent creature. Very well. Let me see. This is strange. A letter from Krogstad. I wonder if he's going to ask... What's this? Nora, do you know what's in this letter?
Yes.
He says that you're a forger. That you forged your father's name. Is it true?
I loved you, Torval.
Answer me! Is it true?
It was all because I loved you.
Stop saying that.
Yes, it's true.
You fool! What have you done?
Torval, you're not going to take this on yourself. You're not to try to save me.
Oh, don't be melodramatic. Do you understand what you've done?
Yes.
You've ruined my future. Do you know that? You've put me in the hands of a scoundrel. From now on, he can do whatever he likes with me. Demand what he chooses. Domineer over me as much as he likes, and I must submit to everything.
When I'm out of the world, you'll be free.
Out of the world? Oh, this is no time for fine phrases. What good would it do if you were out of the world? He blabbed the story just the same, and people might even suspect me of having been a part of it. Did you ever stop to think of that? They'd say that I was at the bottom of it, that I'd egged you on. And it's you I have to thank for all this. You whom I've petted and spoiled all our married life. Now do you understand what you've done to me?
Yes.
I just can't believe it. I've got to keep him quiet somehow. That's it. People simply mustn't find out that there's anything at all out of the way. Well, we'll make things look as though nothing had happened between us. And, oh, what can that be at this hour? What is it?
A letter for you, sir. Mr. Krogstad asked me to deliver it.
Krogstad, give it here. Oh, what more can he do to me now?
Torvald,
Be quiet. Why? What? Look. It's a promissory note. It's your note. He's returned it. I don't understand. What does he say? Returning your wife's note, I regret my actions in this matter. Mrs. Linden has convinced me that... Oh, Nora! Nora, thank God! I'm saved.
And I?
You too, yes, of course, darling. We're saved, Nora. It's all over. It's finished. I'll tear it up. I won't even look at it. The whole thing shall just disappear like a dream. Oh, Nora, these must have been terrible days for you.
Yes, they have been.
Yes, I see now. You did it because you loved me. It was just that you went about it in the wrong way, dear. You didn't have the experience to know how. But the next time, you see, dearest, you must come to me. You do realize that, don't you? Nora, you're not going to remember the things I said, are you? Why, the whole world seemed to be falling to pieces around me. It's all going to be forgotten. I forgive you.
Thank you for your forgiveness, Torvald.
Thank you. Is that all you have to say to me? Why do you look at me so strangely? Now, dear, you'd better go and get some sleep.
I shall not sleep tonight.
But it's late.
It's not so late. Sit down, Torvald.
Nora, what do you mean? Your face is so cold and set.
Sit down, Torvald.
Nora, you frighten me. I don't understand you.
That's just it. You don't understand me, and I've never understood you until tonight.
What do you mean?
Doesn't one thing strike you as strange as we sit here?
Nora, what are you talking about?
We've been married 8 years. Doesn't it occur to you that this is the first time we two have talked together seriously?
Oh, my dear child. What have you to do with serious things?
I've had a great injustice done me, Torvald. First by my father, and then by you.
By your father and me?
Yes. When I was at home, Father used to tell me all his opinions, and I always agreed with them. He used to call me his doll child and play with me, just the way I played with my dolls. And then I came to live in your house.
Oh, what a way to talk about our marriage.
Well, I mean, I changed hands from his to yours. And I heard your opinions and agreed with them, or pretended to.
Nora.
I've been living here like a beggar by performing tricks for you. That's the way you would have it. You and my father are responsible. It's your fault my life has come to nothing.
Nora, haven't you been happy here?
No. Only merry. You've always been kind to me, but our house has been nothing but a nursery. I've been your doll wife, just as I used to be Father's doll child. And in the same way, my children have been my dolls. That's what our marriage has been, Torvald.
Well, perhaps there is some truth in what you say. But, Nora, from now on, it will be different.
Yes. Very different. I'm leaving you, Torvald.
What are you saying?
I can't stay with you.
You've lost your mind. I won't allow it.
I'll spend the night with Christina, and tomorrow I'm going home.
You mean that you propose to leave your home, your husband, and your children? And have you considered what people will say?
I don't care what they say. From now on, I must think things out for myself.
Oh, you talk like a child. Desert your home, you can't. These things are your duty, your sacred duty.
I have other duties equally sacred.
Name them.
My duties toward myself. Before all else, I'm a human being, just as much as you are. And if I'm not, then I must try to become one.
Nora, you're ill. I almost think that you're out of your senses.
I've never felt so clear or so certain.
Clear and certain enough to forsake your husband and children?
Yes.
Oh, then there's only one possible explanation. You don't love me anymore.
Yes, that's just it.
Nora.
I'm sorry, but I can't help it. I don't love you anymore.
You're clear and certain of that, too?
Yes.
And can you explain to me at what moment you ceased to love me?
Yes, I can. It was this evening when the miracle that I expected to happen didn't happen. It was then I saw that you were not the man I'd imagined.
I don't understand you.
For 8 years now, I've been waiting for a certain wonderful thing to happen between you and me. And I've been waiting patiently because I know that really wonderful things can't happen every day. And when I saw that this this catastrophe was hanging over me, I said to myself, it's coming. The miracle is coming.
When was this?
Torvald, when Krogstad's letter was lying in the box, it never occurred to me that you'd think for a minute of submitting to that man's conditions. I was certain that you'd say to him, all right, tell everybody, publish it to the whole world. And I was certain that after that...
After that, what? When I'd covered my wife's name with shame and disgrace?
Oh, then I was sure you'd come forward and take the whole thing on yourself. You'd say, I'm the guilty one.
I? But Nora...
Oh, I'd never have accepted such a sacrifice. Of course not. But what would my word have been against yours? That was the miracle I hoped for and dreaded. And to prevent that, I wanted to die.
Nora, I would gladly work day and night for you. I'd bear any sorrows and want. But no man sacrifices his honor even for the woman he loves.
Millions of women have done it.
Oh, you talk like a child. You think like a child.
When you got over being frightened, not for me, but for yourself, and you knew there was nothing more to fear, then it was as if nothing had happened. I was your doll again, and you would take twice as much care of it in the future because I was so weak and fragile. Torvald, it burst on me in that moment that I'd been married for 8 years to a man I hardly knew.
But you're still my wife, now and always.
Torvald, when a wife leaves her husband's house, as I'm doing, I've heard that in the eyes of the law, he's free from all duties to her. At all events, I release you from all duties to me. Here's your ring. Give me mine. Here are the keys. Tomorrow when I've left town, Christina will come and pack up the things I've brought from home. I'll have them sent after me.
Is everything over? Nora, will you never think of me again?
Torvald, I shall often think of you and the children and this house.
May I write to you, Nora?
No, never. You mustn't.
But I must send you...
No, I say.
Can I never be anything more than a stranger to you?
Perhaps. Someday. Oh, Torvald, to that the miracle would have to happen.
What's that?
Both of us would have to change so that... Oh, that I no longer believe in miracles.
Perhaps I do. Tell me, Nora.
So changed that our marriage would be real, with a real love to hold us together. Goodbye.
Nora, wait.
Goodbye, Torvald.
Nora! A miracle. Perhaps someday. Yes, that miracle will happen. It's got to happen.
And so we take our leave of Ibsen's play. A little later, Melville Ruick brings you the important announcement mentioned earlier tonight. But now, we meet the two principal tenants of A Doll's House, Joan Crawford and Basil Rathbun. Basil, you're such a scoundrel in pictures, so persistently. How did it feel to take off the whiskers and play a less villainous role?
Well, C.B., getting into A Doll's House was like getting out of a dog's house. I've played villains on the screen so long that every time the steam radiators hiss at my house, I take a bow. But what's particularly interesting to me is that I've never been a villain on the air.
I've often wondered, Basil, what type of letters the fans write to you men who put the menace in the movies.
Oh, I get a lot of letters, Joan. The only trouble is that they all seem to have the same idea. They just hope that someday I'll get the thrashing I deserve.
But the more disliked you are by the audience, the better the producers like you.
Well, that's comforting anyway. I've been perforated by swords so many times, I now train on a bed of nails. Rather sad, don't you think? I never know just how to save my skin from lunging heroes.
Did you ever try Lux soap? 9 out of 10 stars protect their skin with it.
Yes, but Lux soap makes me look so completely lovely, John. I'd soon be out of work. Yes, I'd get to look like you, and that... Oh,
that's all right, Basil. I understand. And until I want to look like your partner in crime, I'm going to continue using Lux soap, because I don't think there's anything nicer for a lovely complexion. And now, having disposed of Basil's problem, Mr. DeMille, my sincere thanks for bringing A Doll's House to the air and allowing me to play Nora. And my appreciation, too, to Mr. Rathbun and to Mr. Jaffe, who made a special trip from New York to be here. And to Miss Netta Harrigan, Mr. Steele, and all the others in our cast. Thank you, and good night.
Thank you, Joan. Good night, C.B.
Good night, Joan. Good night, Basil.
There's another real treat in store for you next Monday night. In a moment, our producer, Mr. DeMille, will be back to tell you all about it. But while we are waiting, I want to tell you about our offer of a compact for the ladies. The response to this offer last week has been overwhelming, and it is repeated tonight so that no one need lose out. If you have not already sent for your genuine Van-style double compact, by all means do so tomorrow. Or if you have obtained one and want one or two more for a gift or for a bridge prize, you may have it now. It's difficult for a man to describe this compact and do it justice. All I can say is that it's swell.
Perhaps I could help you describe it.
Oh, would you please? Just tell the ladies in our audience how this compact appeals to you.
Well, this is really the sort of compact every woman wants. Thin and lightweight, a delicate horseshoe shape of graceful design, curved in the front and square at the back. And, of course, there's no advertising on it. The top is finished in gold effect and set in gleaming black enamel. The bottom richly tooled in a harmonizing pattern. It will remind you of a piece of fine old antique jewelry, and it's just as smart as it can be. The black and gold color combination makes it harmonize with any costume. It's a double compact with two compartments, one for loose powder and the other already filled with a cake of fine neutral shade rouge. And it's so easy to get rouge refills to match your own complexion. The clear, gleaming mirror is the full size of the cover. In many stores, this type of compact usually sells for $1.
Well, thank you very much, but this compact does not cost our listeners $1. For the time being, our Lux Toilet Soap friends can get it for 3 Lux Toilet Soap wrappers and only 25 cents in coin. Send for yours at once. Now, let me repeat that. You need only 3 Lux Toilet Soap wrappers and 25 cents in coin. Fold the coin into the wrappers and enclose in an envelope with a slip of paper on which your name and address is printed clearly. Don't send stamps. Address, Lux Toilet Soap, Box number 1, New York City. Your compact will be mailed to you promptly. This offer is good only in the United States. So, buy 3 cakes of Lux Toilet Soap tomorrow. Send 3 wrappers and only 25 cents in coin folded into them, together with a slip of paper with your name and address printed clearly, to Lux Toilet Soap, Box number 1, New York City. This offer is good only in the United States. Mr. DeMille.
From the stern drama of A Doll's House, we turn next Monday night to the gay romance of Columbia's highly successful comedy, Theodora Goes Wild. Starring in the title role will be the same delightful comedienne whom you saw in the picture, Irene Dunn. And co-starred with Miss Dunn, the seasoned sensational comedy find, one of the most versatile stars in Hollywood, Cary Grant. Our sponsors, the makers of Lux Toilet Soap, join me in inviting you to be with us again next Monday night when the Lux Radio Theater presents Irene Dunn and Cary Grant in Theodora Goes Wild. This is Cecil B. DeMille saying good night to you from Hollywood.
Our cast tonight included Celeste Rush as Ellen, John Russell as Ivar Helmer, Jackie Horner as Emmy Helmer, Frank Nelson as a messenger, and Eleanor Mitchell as Via. Louis Silvers appeared through courtesy of 20th Century Fox Studios, where he directed music for Josette. Your announcer has been Melville Ruick. This is the Columbia Broadcasting System.
From New York, where the American stage begins, NBC presents Best Plays with John Chapman. Best Plays, a series of hour-length dramas selected from the outstanding successes of the New York stage. Now, John Chapman, editor of the theatrical yearbook Best Plays and drama critic of the New York Daily News, is here to introduce Camille, starring Eva Le Gallienne with Richard Waring. Mr. Chapman,
This evening, we are offering you the classic among romantic dramas, Camille, by Alexandre Dumas the Younger. This was Dumas' first and best play, and since 1852, the role of Marguerite Gautier, the Lady of the Camellias, has been the high aim of most creative actresses. In time, it became virtually the property of Sarah Bernard in Paris. In our own time, here in New York, the play has found its finest interpreter in Eva Le Gallienne. She is in love with the drama and the part. We are fortunate in having Miss Le Gallienne and Camille on best plays this evening, and fortunate, too, in having with her in the role of Armand Duval, Richard Waring. Mr. Waring is no stranger to the play, or to Miss Le Gallienne either, for it was she who developed him as an actor at her Civic Repertory Theater. So, now, let's haul up our invisible curtain on Act One of Camille.
Her name was Marguerite Gautier, but all Paris knew her as the Lady of the Camellias. For many years, I was her friend, but only a friend. Perhaps the very uninsistence of our friendship was what sustained it. My name, by the way, is Gaston Rieu, and it was I who first introduced Armand Duval to the Lady of the Camellias. Armand and I were attending a performance at the Opéra Comique. There, alone in another box across the theater, dressed all in white, sat Marguerite Gautier. She turned her opera glasses in my direction and smiled.
Gaston, that lovely creature in white, that must be...
Yes, Marguerite Gautier. I'm surprised to see her here tonight. She's been very ill, you know.
Yes, I know. How beautiful she is.
Gaston, dear boy.
Prudence, come, sit down. Join us.
Oh, for a moment only. I saw you bowing to Marguerite Gautier just now.
She's looking very pale tonight.
Oh, poor child. This is her first public appearance in weeks.
Prudence, may I present my friend Armand Duval, Madame de Beauvoir.
Your servant, madame.
Enchanted, monsieur. Well, sit down, both of you.
Thank you, madame. Armand.
Oh, I beg your pardon.
you must excuse my friend Prudence. I'm afraid he's been suddenly smitten by the sight of Marguerite.
That's a sickness he'll have to share with half the men in Paris.
Madame, both you and Gaston know this exquisite creature, this Marguerite Gautier?
Matter of fact, dear boy, Marguerite Gautier is my neighbor. What's more, I'm her milliner.
Then you see her often?
Every day. I live in number 7 Rue d'Antin. Marguerite's windows are just opposite mine. We shout messages back and forth. Prudence, she calls. I don't want violets on my hat. Marguerite, I call back. Could I borrow 100 francs? Back and forth, back and forth. Oh, we're great friends.
She's the most beautiful woman in all Paris.
Well, shall I take you over to her box and introduce you?
No, Gaston. I would prefer a meeting in a less public place.
Oh, but that's difficult. Marguerite is under the protection of an exceedingly jealous man, a duke, no less.
Charming word, protection.
Yes, protection. Poor old man. He'd be embarrassed to offer her anything more.
Why is she alone tonight?
Oh, opera bores the duke, but he'll be waiting for her to escort her home.
And who is escorting you home?
Why, you, of course, Gaston. The pair of you. Look here, my friends, through this window.
What is it, Prudence?
Across my little garden. There are Marguerite Gautier's windows, where you see the lights.
I see someone's shadow moving about.
Yes, Monsieur Armand. That will be Nanine, her maid.
She must be giving a supper party after the opera.
No, that's the Baron de Varville playing Chopin. He's very rich, but Marguerite can't stand him. He sits there every night playing Chopin waltzes.
Nanine! Where is Marguerite?
I told you, monsieur, she went to the opera.
Oh, the opera was over an hour ago. You told her I'd be waiting?
I did, monsieur.
Oh, my affairs are not progressing very favorably here.
Decidedly not, monsieur.
It's odd of Marguerite to sacrifice everybody to the Duke de Mauriac, who certainly can't be too amusing.
Oh, poor old man. He's like her father.
Her father?
Well,
2 years ago, Madame went to a watering place to regain her strength. And in the same sanitarium, there was a young girl suffering from the same illness, only in the last degrees of it. And so like Madame, they might have been twin sisters. She was Mademoiselle de Mauriac, only daughter of the Duke. Mademoiselle de Mauriac died, and her father begged Marguerite to allow him to love her as his daughter.
How touching. Unfortunately, I don't believe a word of it.
Monsieur, there are many true things to be said about Madame, and that's all the more reason for not inventing untrue ones.
Nanine! Oh, Nanine, order supper, will you? Olympe and some friends of hers are coming. I met them at the opera.
Marguerite.
Oh, Verville, you're here, are you?
Is it not my destiny always to wait for you?
Must it be mine always to find you waiting?
Until you close your door against me.
Well, now what have you to say to me?
Oh, you know very well.
Always the same thing. You're so monotonous.
Is it my fault that I adore you?
Oh, my dear man, if I were forced to listen to all those who say they adore me, I wouldn't have a moment's peace. For the 100th time I repeat it, you are wasting your time. I allow you to come here to see me when I'm home, to wait for me when I'm out. I really don't know why. However, if you must constantly harp upon your love, I shall simply refuse to see you.
Still, Marguerite, last year at Bagnières, you gave me some hope.
My dear fellow, that was Bagnières. I was ill. I was bored. Here it's entirely different. I'm much better. I'm not in the least bored.
I understand. When one is loved by the Duke de Mauriac...
Imbecile. I'm free to love whom I please. It's nobody's business, yours least of all. That's all you have to say to me? You'd better go. Well... Are you going?
No, please.
Well, then sit down at the piano and play something. Playing's your only virtue.
Oh, very well. What shall I play?
Oh, anything you like.
The supper is ordered, Madame.
Oh, thank you, Nanine. Take my cloak, will you?
Ah, Madame, it's crushed the beautiful corsage of camellia.
Ah, poor things. Drooping in one short evening. Well, they're not quite dead. Not yet. Ah, that's that you're playing Verville. It's very pretty.
Remember, Marguerite, my income is 80,000 francs.
Well, mine's 100,000. What's that perfume in the room?
The flowers, Madame.
I brought them.
Roses and lilacs. Put them in your room, Nanine.
Yes, Madame. Right away.
You reject even my flowers.
Verville, what is my name?
Marguerite
No,
Gautier.
I mean, what am I called?
The Lady of the Camellias.
And why?
Because you never wear any other flowers.
Because they're the only flowers I like. It's quite useless to send me any others. If you think I'm going to make an exception for you, you're wrong. Perfumes make me ill.
I have no luck at all.
Only with your music. Go on playing. Go on playing.
At once.
Oh, Nanine, where's Prudence?
I've not seen her, Madame.
I'll call her and tell her to come over.
And who, may I ask, is Prudence?
Well, she's my milliner, but I'm the only one who buys her hats. Ah, yes, there are lights. Prudence is home. Prudence!
Madame, do not breathe the night air too deep.
Prudence! Prudence!
Here I am.
Come over at once. We're having supper.
Who's there?
Oh, only Verville, boring me to death.
Oh, but I have guests, too. 2 young gentlemen. They've asked me out to supper.
Well, bring them over here. It comes to the same thing. Who are they?
Oh, you know one of them. Gaston Ria.
Gaston, of course I know him. Who's the other?
Friend of his.
Well, bring them both over. Quickly, quickly.
Marguerite, may I present my friend Armand Duval?
Monsieur Duval?
Madame.
Ah, how stupid of me. I've dropped my flowers.
Your lovely camellias.
Allow me.
Oh, do be quiet, Verville.
But you're always telling me to play.
When I'm alone with you, yes. When there are other people, no.
Au revoir, Marguerite.
When shall I be seeing you?
Whenever you wish.
Adieu, then.
Gentlemen, au revoir, Madame Prudence.
Au revoir, Verville. Au revoir, old dear.
Oh, thank heavens he's gone.
My dear child, you're really too hard
Well,
on
he's such
him.
a bore, always coming around asking me to accept an income.
You complain of that? I wish he'd offer me one.
Supper is served, Madame.
Well, thank you, Nanine.
Oysters from the Maison d'Or, cold partridges, champagne.
Look at all that food. What are those little animals?
Those are partridges.
Oh, then 2 of them for me.
You shall have them.
Your camellias, Madame.
Oh, thank you, Monsieur Duval.
Champagne, yes,
They tell me that when I was ill, you came every day to inquire after me.
That is true, Madame.
The least I can do is to thank you.
Marguerite! Armand!
Oh, let's have some champagne, Monsieur Duval. You must drink to my health.
I will indeed.
Father, where were you?
I met some friends at the opera. They made me stop at the gaming table.
Did you win?
I lost my money and my friends. No more wine for Gaston till he's played us some music. I feel like dancing.
I only know one polka.
Well, let's have the polka then. Monsieur Duval, will you dance with me?
I would be honored, madame.
Kind of you to inquire after me when I was ill.
Will you allow me to see you from time to time?
As often as you like. You may call any day between 5 and 6, and any night from 11 to 12. Oh, forgive me.
You are ill, madame.
It's nothing. I can't get my breath.
You're so pale.
I feel faint.
Marguerite, what is it?
What's the matter?
Nothing. I've been laughing too much this evening. If you'll excuse me.
The poor child.
Shouldn't the doctor be called?
Oh, this happens every other day. Just leave her alone for a bit in her room.
But it does spoil the party, doesn't it?
Oh, Lan.
Well, it does. Do we have to go now?
No, she'll feel better soon.
She shouldn't be left alone. Isn't there anything to be done?
No, monsieur. There is nothing to be done.
Come in. Oh, it's you, Monsieur Armand. Do come in.
How do you feel, madame?
Oh, thank you. I feel much better. Anyway, I'm used to it.
I wish I were your friend or relative, so I could keep you from destroying yourself.
You wouldn't succeed. What is it? There are tears in your eyes.
Yes.
You're very kind. Just look at the others. They don't bother much.
The others don't love you as I do.
Ah, of course, I'd forgotten about this great love.
It only amuses you.
Oh, God forbid I hear nothing else from morning to night. No longer amuses me.
As you wish. But my love is worth at least one promise from you.
What promise?
That you'll take care of yourself.
Take care of myself? Is that possible?
Why not?
Oh, my dear boy, if I were to take care of myself, I should die. What keeps me going is the feverish life I lead. Take care of myself. It's only ladies of fashion with families and friends who can afford the luxury of taking care of themselves. We others must go on. As soon as we stop serving the pleasure and vanity of men, we are abandoned, and long evenings follow long days. How well I know it. I was ill in bed for 3 long months. At the end of 3 weeks, not a soul came to see me.
I know that I mean nothing to you, Marguerite. But if you would let me, I would take care of you.
That wine has made you sad.
Have you no heart?
A heart! That's the one thing that could wreck a life like mine. So you'd actually take care of me?
Yes.
Stay with me day in and day out?
As long as I didn't bore you.
And what do you call that?
Devotion.
Devotion. And why this devotion?
I am irresistibly drawn to you, Marguerite. Ever since 2 years ago, when I first saw you in your carriage, beautiful, proud, smiling. Since that day, I followed you silently, but from afar.
Why didn't you tell me this before?
I didn't know you.
Yes, but when I was ill and you came every day to inquire about me, why didn't you ask to see me?
What right had I to intrude upon you?
Right? Does one stand on ceremony with a woman like me?
Also, I feared the influence you might have upon my life.
Really looks as if you were in love with me.
If I'm ever to tell you, this is not the moment.
Never tell it me.
Why?
Because only 2 things can come of it. Either I won't believe you, in which case you'd hold it against me, or I will believe you. And then you'd have the saddest of lives, the companionship of a sick, nervous woman, gay with a gaiety more sad than sorrow, a woman who spends 100,000 francs a year. Oh, you've a good heart. You need to be loved. You're too young, too sensitive to live in our sort of world. Love some other kind of woman, or get married. Get married. There, now, you see, I'm a decent sort. I'm trying to be quite frank with you. Huh? It's all settled. You don't love me anymore.
I'll take your advice. I'll go away.
As bad as that?
Yes.
Well, many people have said that, but they haven't gone.
Because you held them back.
Oh, no.
Then you've never loved anyone?
Never, thank God.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
What for?
For what you've just said. Nothing could have made me happier.
Oh, what a child you are.
Suppose I told you I spent entire nights beneath your windows, that for 6 months I kept a button fallen from your glove.
I wouldn't believe you. Oh, now don't be angry. Come now, in all you've just said to me is the one tiny bit of truth.
You ask me that.
Then give me your hand. Come and see me now and then, often if you like.
Marguerite, do you wish to be loved?
Do I wish to be loved? Well, that depends. By whom?
By me.
By you. And then what?
Do you wish to be loved deeply, eternally?
Eternally. Ah, Monsieur Armand, I have a shorter time to live than others, so I must live more rapidly. But don't worry. As eternal as your love may be, and as short a time as I may have to live, I shall still outlive your love for me.
No, Marguerite, no.
Ah, but you're sincere. You mean what you say. All that deserves something. Take this flower.
One of your camellias.
You may bring it back to me.
When?
When it's faded.
And how long will that take?
The time it takes all flowers to fade. The span of a day or a night.
Marguerite, I'm so happy.
Tell me again that you love me.
I do love you.
And now, go.
In the days which followed, the old Duke de Mauriac heard no whisper of gossip. Then, suddenly, Armand and Marguerite disappeared from Paris, and even Marguerite's old protector became aware of the existence of her ardent young admirer. The two lovers had fled, with their dreams, to spend an idyllic summer near Fontainebleau, in a charming little villa of 2 stories with a garden and a tiny pavilion.
Where is Marguerite, Nanine?
Madame is in the garden with Mademoiselle Nichette. She's spending the day with us here.
Oh, I'll join them. Oh, good afternoon, Armand.
Prudence, I want to speak to you. 2 weeks ago, you left here in Marguerite's carriage.
That's true.
Well, since then, we've seen neither the carriage nor the horses.
Do you wish me to be frank?
I beg you to be.
The dealer has taken the horses back at half price.
And that cashmere shawl?
Sold.
And the diamond?
Pawned this morning. I have the pawn tickets here.
And why was I not told?
Marguerite wouldn't hear of it.
And why these sales and this pawning?
To pay for things. My poor dear boy, do you think that in order to leave Paris and live an ethereal and pastoral existence, it's only necessary to love? I went to see the Duke, but he refuses to give Marguerite another penny unless she leaves you. And God knows that's the last thing she wants to do.
Dear Marguerite.
Yes, dear Marguerite. She's too good. Heaven knows how this will end. Now she wants to sell everything she possesses. I have a plan here in my pocket from her lawyer.
How much is needed?
50,000 francs at least.
Prudence.
Yes?
I guessed what was happening, so I wrote to my lawyer that I wish to sign over my inheritance from my mother to a friend. I've just received his answer. The papers are ready. I'll go up to Paris today and sign them. Meanwhile, you keep Marguerite
but
from...
what about these papers I have here?
Give them to her after I've gone, as if I told you nothing. She mustn't know of our conversation. Here she comes.
How are you, Nichette?
Oh, well, thank you, Prudence.
Marguerite, my dearest, you must scold Prudence.
Why, my darling?
I asked her to go to my house and fetch my mail. I haven't been to town for 2 weeks, and of course she's forgotten all about it.
Oh.
Now I'll have to go myself. I haven't written to my father for 2 months, and no one knows where I am, not even my servant. Look, it's a beautiful day, and you have company. I'll run into town and be back with you tomorrow.
Well, if you must go, my darling, you must. But if you haven't written to your father, don't you blame me. How often have I told you to write to him? I'll come back as quickly as you can. You'll find me here waiting.
I'll be back in the morning.
Bye, my darling. Prudence, Prudence, is everything arranged?
Yes.
You brought the papers?
Here they are. Your lawyer will be here shortly to settle everything. Now I'm going to eat. I'm simply starved.
Run along, Nanine will give you everything you want. Oh, you see, Nichette, this is how we've been living for the past 3 months.
Are you happy?
Oh, am I happy?
Oh, what did I always tell you, Marguerite? How often have Gustave and I said to each other, when will Marguerite fall in love and lead a quiet life?
Well, I am in love, and I'm happy, and it was your love and your happiness that made me long to have the same. Tell me, when are you going to be married?
Oh, soon. And how about you, Marguerite?
Whom do you want me to marry?
Armand, of course.
Armand. Oh, no. I'm willing to take his heart, but not his name. You see, Nichette, there are certain things a woman can never wipe out of her life. Oh, if I wanted Armand to marry me, he'd marry me tomorrow, but I love him too much to ask of him such a sacrifice. You know, Nichette, there are times when I almost forget what I used to be. I can scarcely believe myself that I was ever that lady of the camellias who used to spend enough money on flowers alone to keep a decent family and comfort for a year. And now this little flower that Armand picked for me this morning is enough to perfume my whole life. Shall I tell you a secret, Nichette?
Do, Margaret.
Without saying a word to Armand, I've arranged to sell all the things in my Paris apartment. I shan't even return there. I'll pay up all my debts. I'll rent a tiny apartment near yours, furnish it very simply, and then we'll live there. And every summer we'll come back here to the country. Oh, happiness.
There's a gentleman who wishes to speak to you, madame.
Oh, that must be the lawyer I'm expecting. Wait for me in the garden, Nichette. I'll join you later. Ask him to come in, Nanine.
Mademoiselle Marguerite Gautier?
It is I, monsieur. To whom have I the honor of speaking?
To Monsieur Duval.
Monsieur Duval?
Yes, mademoiselle. To Armand's father.
Well, Armand's not here just now, monsieur.
I am aware of that. It is with you I wish to speak. Mademoiselle, my son is compromising and ruining himself for you.
You're mistaken, monsieur. Thank God people no longer speak of me, and I accept nothing from Armand.
Which can only mean, for your extravagance is well known, that my son is willing to dissipate with you the money that you accept from others.
Forgive me, monsieur, but I am a woman, and I am in my own house. 2 reasons which should sufficiently appeal to your courtesy. The tone in which you're addressing me is not one which I would expect from a gentleman that I've only just met, and...
And?
Well, I must beg you to allow me to withdraw, more for your sake than for mine.
It is indeed hard to believe that such manners are merely borrowed. I was warned that you're a very dangerous person.
Dangerous, perhaps, monsieur, to myself, not to others.
The truth still remains that Armand is ruining himself for you.
And I repeat to you, monsieur, with all the respect that I owe to Armand's father, that you are mistaken.
Then what is the meaning of this letter from my notary? This letter warning me that Armand wishes to turn all his money over to you.
Ah, I assure you, monsieur, if Armand's done this, he's done it without my knowledge. He knew quite well if he'd offered it to me, I should have refused.
This has not always been your habit.
That is quite true, monsieur. But then I didn't love.
And now?
Now I do love. With all the purity that one finds in one's heart when God takes pity and sends repentance.
The usual fine phrases, mademoiselle.
Listen to me, monsieur. I know that women like myself are rarely believed, but I swear to you by all that I hold dearest in the world, I swear to you that I knew nothing of this gift.
Still, mademoiselle, you have to live on something.
You forced me to tell you something that I'd so much rather not have told you, but as I care above everything for the good opinion of Armand's father, I must speak. Since I've known your son, and in order that my love for him should in no way resemble that which I've once called love, I've pawned or sold my diamonds, jewels, carriages. Just now when you were announced, I thought I was about to receive a lawyer to whom I'm selling all that remains of that luxury with which you reproach me. If you still doubt me, read these papers. You know that I didn't expect you, that I was utterly unprepared.
A sale of your furniture, directing the buyer to pay your creditors and give you all the surplus. Could I have been mistaken?
You were mistaken, monsieur, or rather, you've been deceived. Oh, I know. I've been foolish. I've had a sad past, but now that I really love, I'd give the last drop of my blood to erase it. You'll see when you know me better. It's Armand who's transformed me. He has loved me. He does love me. Oh, monsieur, I beg of you, don't say anything to him against me. He'd believe you because he loves you, And I, too, I love you and respect you because you're his father.
I could not foresee all that I now discover in you. I ask your pardon, madame.
Oh, thank you, monsieur.
And because I see now what you really are, I ask you to give Armand the greatest proof of love that you could give him.
Oh, monsieur, you're going to ask of me something terrible. All the more terrible because I've always foreseen it. You had to come. I was too happy.
You are capable of a generosity incomprehensible to many women. That is why, Marguerite, I speak to you like a father who asks of you the happiness of his 2 children.
His 2 children?
I have a daughter, young and beautiful. She loves a young man, and she, too, has made this love the dream of her life. But she has a right to that love. My daughter is going to be married. She is marrying a respectable man, entering into a respectable family. They have learned of Armand's way of life. They threaten to forbid the marriage should Armand continue in this way. The future of a young girl who has done you no harm is in your hands. Marguerite, in the name of your own love, grant me the happiness of my daughter.
It's very kind of you, monsieur, to speak to me so gently. I see. I understand. I'll leave Armand for a little while. Oh, it'll be terribly painful for me, but I want to do it for you so that you'll have nothing to reproach me with. And besides, I'll forget the sorrow of our separation and the joy of my return, and you will allow him to write to me sometimes, won't you, monsieur? And then, when his sister's married...
Thank you, Marguerite. But it is something else that I am asking of you.
Something else? What more can you ask of me?
A temporary separation is not sufficient.
You want me to leave Armand? Altogether?
You must.
Never, do you hear? Never. You don't understand how we love each other. Don't you know that I've nothing? I've no friends, no parents, no family, nothing. Armand's become everything to me. My life is irrevocably, but irrevocably bound up in his. And, Monsieur Duval, don't you know that I'm ill, that I've only a few years to live? Leave Armand. You might as well kill me at once.
I know I am asking an enormous sacrifice of you, but one which you would eventually be forced to make yourself.
Never, monsieur, never have I loved as I love now, and never shall again.
What will remain of your love when you grow old? How can you be sure that the first line in your forehead will not tear the veil from his eyes? That his illusions will not vanish with your youth?
Ah, reality.
You have been happy for 3 months. Keep the memory of them in your heart. Let it make you strong. That is all you have the right to ask of it. Come, prove to me that you really love my son and have courage.
You're right, monsieur, you're right. All you've just said to me, I've said it to myself 100 times with terror. But as I was alone saying it to myself, I always managed not to hear myself to the end. Now you repeat it to me. It must be true. You speak to me in the name of your son, in the name of your daughter. It's to her that I want to sacrifice my happiness. Tell her one day that there was once a woman who had but one thought, one hope, one dream in this world. And that for her sake that woman gave up all of that, crushed her heart between her hands and died of it. For I shall die of it, monsieur, and perhaps then God will forgive me.
Marguerite.
You're sorry for me, monsieur. Thank you. That will make me as strong as you wish me to be. You ask me to leave Armand for the sake of his peace, his honor, his future. What do you want me to do? Tell me. I'm ready.
You must tell him that you no longer love him.
You wouldn't believe it.
You must go away.
He'd follow.
Then you must find a way.
Very well, monsieur. I swear to you that within a week your son will have returned to you. Unhappy, perhaps, but cured forever. I also swear that he'll never know what has just passed between us.
What will you do?
I'm going to send Prudence to Paris with a letter.
But I am afraid, Marguerite.
Don't be afraid, monsieur. He will hate me.
What can I do for you in exchange for such a sacrifice?
Perhaps someday when I'm dead and Armand despises my memory, perhaps you'll tell him how much I loved him and how well I proved it. Goodbye, monsieur. We shall probably never see each other again. Be happy.
Elmo, I've searched every cafe for you.
Oh, sit down, Gaston.
I brought you a letter.
Letter?
Prudence gave it to me. Told me that you must have it tonight.
Prudence? In Paris? But I left her with Marguerite.
The letter is from Marguerite. Here.
Something's happened. I felt all afternoon that something was wrong. My dear Armand, when you receive this letter, I shall have gone away. I am
going back to my old life and my old friends. For me, there can be no happiness without money. I know that now. So I'm going to de Varville, who will surround me with the luxury without which I cannot live. Do not try to follow me. It would be useless. Try to forget this Marguerite Gautier, whom you deign to love for a moment, and who owes you the only pure joy in a life that she hopes will soon be ended. Farewell, Armand.
Farewell. Dear God, no.
What is it?
Marguerite! She's gone.
In a moment, Act Two of Camille, starring Eva Le Gallienne with Richard Waring. This is NBC, the national broadcasting company. Now, Act Two of the Best Plays production of Camille, starring Eva Le Gallienne with Richard Waring. Here again is John Chapman.
Let us go on with our second act, as Gaston Rieux continues his reminiscence.
Marguerite had indeed returned to her old life. She went to every supper, every ball. She drove along the boulevards in a brand new carriage. But Armand was never seen in public. No one knew where he had gone. Until one night we all went to a party. A lamp was given.
How much is there in the bag?
100 louis.
I'll pay 10 francs.
Where are they, Prudence?
In my pocket.
I'd give 15 francs to see them.
Oh, I've forgotten my purse.
There's a purse that knows its business.
Oh.
Here's 20 francs for you.
I'll give them back to you.
Don't talk nonsense.
Wait, there's Armand Duval.
Armand? We thought you were in Tours.
You were wrong.
When did you arrive?
An hour ago.
And what's new, my dear boy?
Nothing, my dear Prudence.
Have you seen Marguerite?
No.
She's going to be here.
Then I shall see her.
What a tone you say that with.
And in what tone would you have me say it?
So the heart is mended.
Quite.
It's high time she left you. She was about to be dispossessed, stripped of everything.
And now her debts are all paid.
Entirely.
And the Baron de Varville is responsible.
He is indeed.
Then all is for the best.
Madame Marguerite
Gautier.
Here they are.
Oh, good evening, Marguerite. Good evening, Baron. How late you are. We've been to the opera. You're well, Marguerite? Oh, yes, thank you, my dear Olaf. I'm very well.
Marguerite.
Oh, Prudence?
Armand is here.
Armand. Varville, excuse me a moment.
Of course. Tell me, what was I here?
He's at the gaming table.
Shouldn't have come here.
You had to meet sometime or
Did
other.
he speak to you?
Yes.
About me?
Naturally.
What did he say?
That all is for the best.
So much the better if it's true.
Marguerite! Duval is here.
I know it, Varville.
Will you swear to me that you didn't know he would be here?
I swear.
And you promise not to talk to him?
I don't feel well, Varville. Take me home.
No, Marguerite, you're not ill. You wish to leave because Duval is here. But I cannot afford to leave any place because he happens to be there. Let us remain.
What were they singing at the opera tonight?
La Favorite. The story of a woman who deceives her lover.
Armand. There are no women who deceive their lovers.
And I tell you there are such women.
Where?
Everywhere.
Careful, Armand.
Why, Gaston, I'm only testing the truth of the proverb, lucky at cards, unlucky at love. I expect to make my fortune here tonight, and as soon as I've made enough money, I'm going off to live in the country.
Alone?
No, Olympe. With someone who once went with me, but who left me. Perhaps when I am richer.
Monsieur
If you
Duval.
challenge Monsieur Duval, you'll never see me again.
Well, Baron, have you nothing more to say to me?
Monsieur Duval, since you are so fortunate at cards, your good luck tempts me. I propose a game.
Which I accept. On which side do you play, Baron?
The side you do not take.
Let us go to the table.
Are you coming, Marguerite?
Not just now. I've a few words to say to Prudence.
I warn you, if you haven't joined us in 10 minutes, I will come back for you. Come, gentlemen, watch the sport.
Prudence.
Yes, Marguerite.
Go after them. As soon as the game's ended, ask Armand to come here. I must talk to him.
What if he refuses?
He won't refuse. He hates me too much to miss the opportunity of telling me so. Go quickly.
100 louis! Armand wins the game! You sent for me, madame.
Yes, Armand, I must speak to you.
You're going to try to justify yourself.
No, there's to be no question of that. In fact, I beg you not to speak of the past.
I understand, madame. It holds too much for you.
Don't hurt me, Armand. Try to listen to me without hatred, without rancor. Give me your hand.
Never, madame. If that's all you wanted.
Who would have thought you'd ever refuse to take my hand? That's not the question. Armand, you must go away. Leave here at once.
Leave, madame, and why?
Because Verville's going to challenge you to a duel. I don't want anything to happen on my account.
So, you're advising me to run away. But what other kind of advice could a woman like you be capable of giving?
Armand, I swear to you that in this past month I've suffered so much I barely have the strength to say it. I'm quite well aware of the illness increasing in me, consuming me. In the name of a past love, in the name of all that I'm still going to have to suffer, Armand, in the name of your mother and of your sister, go away from me. Return to your father, and if you can, forget even my name.
I understand, madame. You are trembling for your lover who represents your fortune. I can ruin you with one thrust of my sword. That indeed would be a catastrophe.
You could be killed, Armand.
What does it matter to me whether I live or die? No, it's a fight to the death between the Baron and me, and I swear to you that I will kill him.
You know that I don't love him, but I can't love that man.
Then why did you give yourself to him?
Don't ask that, Armand. I can't tell you.
I'll tell you why. You went to him because you are a creature without heart, without loyalty. Because your love belongs to whoever pays for it.
Yes, you're right. I'm an infamous, miserable creature who never loved you, betrayed you. But just because of that, all the more reason for you to forget me completely, not to risk your life for me and the lives of those who love you, Armand. I implore you to go away, leave Paris, and don't look back.
I will, on one condition.
Whatever it is, I accept it.
That you will leave with me.
Never.
Never?
Oh, God, give me strength.
Listen, Marguerite. I thought for a moment that hate was driving me towards you. It was love, hideous, hateful love, for I despise myself for still feeling it. Only say that you still love me. I'll forgive you, Marguerite. We'll leave Paris. The past will go to the ends of the earth if needs be, so we can be alone with our love.
I'd give my life. I'd give my life for 1 hour of the happiness you're offering me. But it's impossible. A chasm separates us. We may no longer love each other. Go, forget me. You must. I've sworn it.
To whom?
To one who had the right to ask it of me.
To Monsieur de Varville?
Yes!
To Monsieur de Varville, whom you love? Tell me that you love him and I'll go.
Very well, then, yes, I love Monsieur de Varville.
Come in, all of you.
What are you doing?
What is it, Armand?
What's wrong?
You see this woman?
Marguerite.
Yes, Baron, Marguerite Gautier. Do you know what she did? She sold everything she possessed to live with me as long as she loved me. That was beautiful, wasn't it? Do you know what I did? I behaved like a wretch. I accepted that sacrifice without giving her anything in exchange.
Armand.
But it's not too late. I repent of it, and I'm here to offer reparation. Do you see this money? You are all witnesses. I pay this woman, and I owe her nothing! Nothing!
What have you done?
Marguerite! She's fainted.
Here's my glove in your face. Decidedly, monsieur, you are a coward.
Nanine. I have a glass of water?
Here you are.
Who's there?
It's I, Gaston.
Gaston, what are you doing here?
Drink first. I'll tell you afterward.
But where's Nanine?
Asleep. When I came in last night to find out how you were, Nanine was exhausted. I sent her to bed. How do you feel this morning?
Dear Gaston, why should you wear yourself out like this?
I stayed because I had something to say to you.
What do you want to tell me?
You're worried.
How do you mean, worried?
You need money. I haven't much. I've made a lot of unnecessary purchases for New Year's, and I wish you a very happy one. However, here's 25 louis that I'm going to put in this drawer. When they are gone, there will be more.
What a good heart you have. Would be you. Good for nothing, as they always called you. Would be you. Would be taking care of me now.
It's always like that.
Monsieur.
Oh, come in, come in. Marguerite is awake.
Oh, my poor Nanine, you were so tired.
Oh, just a little, madame.
Open the window and let in some sunshine, Nanine. I want to get up.
Madame, the doctor is here.
Ah, that dear doctor. You know, Gaston, his first visit's always for me. Tell him to come in, will you? Help me to get up, Nanine.
Oh, but madame,
Yes, I want to.
Until later, then.
Till later, Gaston. Help me, Nanine, to the sofa.
Yes, madame.
Such a little distance to walk. Yet it seems so far.
Here we are.
Thank you, Nanine.
Madame.
Good morning, my dear doctor. Oh, Nanine, would you go and see if there's any mail?
Yes, madame.
Give me your hand. How do you feel?
Well, I feel badly and yet better. I feel ill in body, but so much better in spirit.
You're doing splendidly, madame. I promise you a complete recovery by spring.
It's your duty to talk to me like that, isn't it, Doctor? You know, when God said that lying was a sin, he made an exception for all doctors. and he gave them permission to lie as many times a day as they saw patients.
Oh, look here, madame. Presents.
Of course. Today's the new year. Oh, how many things have happened since this time last year. This time last year, Doctor, we were singing round the table. We were greeting the budding year with the same smile we'd given to the dying one. When shall we laugh again, my dear doctor?
I have a letter for you, too, madame.
Letter? Who could be writing to me? My dear Marguerite, I've been to see you 20 times, but was never allowed to come up. However, I don't want the happiest day of my life to pass without your knowing about it. Gustave... Nanine, it's from Nichette. It's Gustave and I are getting married today. I hope you'll be present. A simple, humble ceremony will take place at 9 o'clock in the church of La Madeleine. I embrace you with all the strength of a happy heart. Nichette. Nichette. Doctor, would you please close the window?
Yes, madame.
I feel a little cold. Oh, and would you please give me that pen and paper? I want to write, Nichette.
Well, doctor.
She's very low.
Oh, Nanine, come here. Look at what I'm writing. Look. I'm writing Madame Gustave Marchand. Is that wonderful, Nanine? Doctor, would you please do me a favor? Would you drop off this note on your way at the church where Nichette is getting married? And be sure to tell them not to give it to her until after the ceremony, because, you see, I wrote Madame Gustave. You won't forget, will you, Doctor?
No, Marguerite.
Come back later if you can. Oh, Nanine, would you tidy up the room? There's the bell. Better see who it is.
It's Madame Duvernois who'd like to see you, madame.
Oh, Madame Duvernois. Well, better ask her to come in, Nanine.
My dear Marguerite, how are you this morning?
Oh, I'm much better, my dear Prudence.
Do send Nanine away. I want to talk to you.
Oh, Nanine, would you go and tidy up in the other room? I'll call you when I need you.
Yes, madame.
Marguerite, I have a favor to ask.
Go on.
How are you for money?
Well, You know, I've been a little shocked.
Well, today's the first of the year I have presents to make. I absolutely must have 200 francs. Can you lend them to me until the end of the month?
End of the month?
Oh, of course, if you can't spare them.
No, I shouldn't mean that.
Let's not speak of it again.
No, Prudence. Look, you see that drawer in my dressing table. Open it. How much is there?
500 francs.
Will you take the 200 you need?
And you'll have enough with what's left?
Yes, I'll have enough. Don't you worry about me.
Oh, you are doing me a real favor.
Well, so much the better, my dear Prudence.
And now I'll leave you. I'll come back to see you soon. You really look much better.
Oh, I am. I'm much better.
Thanks again.
Would you send Nanine back to me?
Nanine, she wants you.
Yes, madame. She came to ask you for money again. And you gave it to her.
Oh, Nanine, money. Such a little thing. She has such a very great need of it. But we need some too, don't we, my poor Nanine? Look, take this bracelet and this ring and go and sell them. Come back quickly.
But while I'm gone, what will Madame do?
I won't need anything. Besides, you won't be long. You know the way to the shop. You've been there often enough in the past 3 months.
I'll hurry, Madame.
My letter. Where's my precious letter? I must read you again. Know you by heart. Madame, I learned of the duel between Armand and Monsieur de Verville, not from my son, for he went away without even saying goodbye. Can you believe it, Madame? I accused you of being the cause of that duel and of that departure. Now, thank God, Monsieur de Verville is out of danger, and I know everything. You have kept your word, even beyond your strength, and all these shocks have undermined your health. I've written the whole truth to Armand. He is far away, but he will return to ask not only his own forgiveness, but mine, for I was forced to do you a wrong for which I wish to atone. Take care of yourself. Take care of yourself. Hope, your courage and your courage and your funny abnegation. Your courage and your abnegation deserve a better future. You shall have it, I promise you. In the meantime, please accept my sympathy, my esteem, and my devotion. Georges Duval, 15th of November. Oh, if only Armand would come soon. If I could only live until the spring. Oh, please. God, please.
Madame.
Oh, Nanine, it's you. I was lying here looking at myself in this mirror. Oh, how changed I am.
You do feel better today, Madame?
Yes, I feel much better, Nanine.
Promise me that you'll be calm.
What is it?
I only want to prepare you.
What's happening?
Too sudden a joy is difficult to bear.
Joy?
Yes, Madame.
Armand. You've seen Armand. Armand's coming to see me.
Marguerite.
Armand! Oh, it can't be you. It's impossible that God should be so good to me.
It is I, Marguerite. So repentant, so anxious. My father wrote me everything. If I hadn't found you, I should have died, for I would have been the cause of your death. Marguerite, tell me that you forgive me.
Forgive you, my darling. It was all my fault. And you see, I didn't know what to do. I did so want you to be happy. Oh, your father won't separate us anymore, will he? He won't. He won't. You're not returning to your same pretty Marguerite. But you'll see, I'll grow lovely again. Now that I'm happy. We'll forget everything. We'll begin life all over again.
I'll never leave you again, Marguerite. My father knows what you are. He will love you as the good angel of his son. My sister is married. The future is ours.
Oh, speak to me, speak to me. I feel as if my soul were being reborn with every one of your words. You're breathing new life into me. You know, just this morning I said, one and only one thing could save me, but I didn't dare hope for it anymore, and now here you are. And if life's passing me by, we'll stop it. We'll stop it on its way. Oh, Armand, I must tell you something so lovely. Nichette, you remember little Nichette. She's getting married to Gustave, Armand, just this morning, just here at the Madeleine. Oh, do let's go there, Armand. It'd do us so much good to go into a church and pray and look on somebody else's happiness. Oh, what a surprise God was keeping for me on this new year. Tell me again that you love me.
I love you, Marguerite. All my life belongs to you.
Nanine, get me everything I need to go out. We're going out. We're going to the Madeleine to see Nichette get married.
Dear Nanine, you've taken good care of her. Thank you.
Oh, she's been so good to me, Armand. She's been so good to me. You know, nobody else ever dared mention your name. She always said we'd see each other again. You were right, Nanine. You were right. You've seen beautiful places, my Armand. You'll take me there.
Marguerite.
It's nothing, my darling. It's nothing. It's just that joy can't come too suddenly into a despairing heart without straining it a little.
Marguerite, you're so white.
Don't be frightened, my darling. You know, I've always been subject to these ridiculous fainting spells. I'm well. I'm strong. It's just the surprise of being alive that somehow seems to weigh on me.
You're trembling.
No, it's nothing, my darling. Here's Nanine with my cape. Put it on, Nanine. Put it on. You see, I'm up. I'm walking. I'm well. I can't.
Nanine,
I can't.
Run, fetch the doctor, quick.
Yes, tell him I must come back. Tell him I want to live. Tell him I must live. Well, but if your return hasn't saved me, then nothing will. Sooner or later, one has to die of what one's lived on. I've lived on love. Now I'm dying of it.
Marguerite, don't talk like that. You will live. You must.
Come and sit close to me, my darling. A moment ago, I rebelled against death. I was wrong. Death is good. Death is right. And you know, Armand, if my death hadn't been quite certain, your father would have never written to you and asked you to return.
Listen, Marguerite. Don't tell me you're going to die. Tell me that you don't believe it, that you don't wish it.
Well, even if I didn't wish it, my darling, I'd have to give in, wouldn't I? God wills it so. And you see, Armand, if I'd always been what they call a good girl, if my life had been pure, I might cry so terribly at the thought of leaving a world in which you were to remain, because then, you see, my darling, our life, our future would be full of brightness, and my past would give me what they call a right. A right to it. But dead, your thoughts of me will be all beauty, alive that always be stains on our love. Believe me, my darling, God does know what he's doing.
Marguerite.
Oh, come now, must I be the one to tell you to have courage? Do something for me, Armand. Look, over there on my dressing table, there's a box there. Do you see it? And in it you'll find a locket. That's my portrait. I had it made for you in the days when I was pretty. You keep it. Help you to remember. But if one day you're loved by a pure young girl and you marry her, as it must be, as I wish it to be, and if she finds that portrait, you tell her that that's the portrait of a woman who, if God will only allow her, prays every day in some obscure little corner of heaven for you and for her. And if she's jealous because we're so foolish, we women, and she wants you to give up that portrait, you do that without any fear, without any remorse, because it's right. Because I want you to. Do you hear me, Mama? You understand what I'm saying?
The doctor's on his way. Madame, here's Nichette.
Nichette! Ah, Nichette. You got my letter at the
Marguerite,
church.
you wrote me that you were dying, and I find you smiling.
I am dying, Nichette, but you see, I'm so happy. And my joy conceals my death. Ah, so you're married, Nichette. How strange this first life. What will the second be? Oh, you're married, Nichette. You're going to be happier than you've ever been before. You'll speak of me sometimes. Armand, give me your hand.
Marguerite, what is it?
How strange it is. Why, I'm not suffering anymore. I feel as if all life were pouring into me. Oh, I feel so well. I never felt so well before. Armand, I'm going to live. I'm going to live. Ah, how well I feel.
Marguerite. She's dead. Marguerite! Marguerite!
You have just heard the Best Plays production of Camille by Alexander Dumas, starring Eva Le Gallienne as Marguerite, with Richard Waring as Armand. And here is your host, drama critic John Chapman.
Camille now is 101 years old, but it still is a living and touching romance. It will last as long as there are good actors and actresses. This evening we have had some of the best. So our thanks and congratulations to Miss Le Gallienne, Mr. Waring, and our Best Plays Company. Next week, we shall do another romance, but a much lighter one and a modern one this time. The play will be Norman Krasna's comedy, John Loves Mary, with Nina Frosch in her original role as Mary, and with Van Johnson as the affectionate John. This is Chapman saying goodbye until then.
Camille was adapted for radio by Vincent McConnor. Heard in the cast were Edwin Jerome as Duval Père, Betty Gard as Prudence, Carl Weber as Gaston, Frederick Rolfe as Baron de Baville, Marion Evanson as Nanine, Bryna Rayburn as Olympe, Jean Leonard as the Doctor, and Susan Douglas as Nichette. Best Plays is an NBC production supervised by William Welch and directed by Edward King. Your announcer is Fred Collins.
Tonight, hear Radio City previews on NBC.
Lever Brothers Company, the makers of Lux Toilet Soap, bring you the Lux Radio Theater, starring Ronald Colman and Greer Garson in Random Harvest. Ladies and gentlemen, your producer, Mr. William Keighley.
Greetings from Hollywood, ladies and gentlemen. It seems only yesterday that I was at the Ambassador Hotel applauding a great actress who had just received that year's Academy Award, Miss Greer Garson. It was a similar thrill that I enjoyed again this year when the same high honor was bestowed on Ronald Colman. And it's a double thrill to have them here tonight, co-starred in a play that we present by popular demand, Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer's Random Harvest.